Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm attorney Michael Eline, and as you guys know, I am a lawyer licensed in California and Texas. I do civil rights, personal injury, some criminal defense, but I'm basically an activist. I believe in holding the government accountable and restoring the constitutional republic and binding politicians by the chains of the Constitution as our founding fathers wanted. Of course, we know that a lot of corruption and foreign influence has come into our country and caused a lot of problems. And I personally feel that law enforcement are merely copying the politicians and their bosses. And it's a systemic thing where if you don't believe in a higher power, you don't believe in morality, you have no spectrum of wrong or right, you're going to run into a lot of problems. And the problem with that is that these individuals took an oath to uphold the Constitution. And because of that, they need to be held to a higher standard. And so that's why I'm here. I'm here a little bit early today, actually, guys. Normally I wouldn't. Hey, Ralph, sorry about the vertical. I'm glad you showed up though, bro. So I'm going to do the show a little early today because I've been up since about 0300 working, and I put in a pretty solid day, about, I don't know, 10 or 12 hours, I guess. And I wanted to come on and share some stuff with you that I found. And I, believe it or not, I found the most wild case, and it really doesn't have a whole lot to do with corrupt police, but I want to start the show off with that first, and then we'll go from there. Well, hopefully Ralph is still here watching me. We'll see. Guys, we need to get Ralph a better iPhone so he can view the verticals, because I like to do the verticals because it appeals to a broader audience and the younger generation. And those are the kind of people that I'm looking to appeal to, because they're going to be the next generation of police and politicians. And unfortunately, the public school system doesn't really teach you enough about the constitutional republic. They don't teach you that our founding fathers loathed democracy and that they wanted to bind the government by the chains of the Constitution. They don't share those things. So now you have an opportunity to watch my show, young guys and girls, to learn a little bit of history and learn a little bit about the law. But before we start learning, I want to share this. Man, this is unbelievable. So P. Diddy went ahead and got sued by the drug cartels. I guess he interfered with their drug operation. So we'll watch this really quick and have a little bit of fun with it. And then I'll tell you a little bit more about the story.
Okay, I want to move on to Diddy. So Keefe D named Diddy 77 times in court documents related to Tupac's murder. But let's clarify this. This isn't the first time he's implicated Diddy, right? This has been a claim for a while.
Correct. And I have some exclusive information for News Nation.
Okay.
Earlier today, a representative for Diddy reached out to me, and he is working with, let's see, 1, 2, 3 different law firms trying to intimidate me because I spoke about this on my website.
You spoke about it.
Not pleased by that.
Oh, yeah.
Off the record, they
the
told me, oops, sorry. I'm not naming any names. Somebody that is a representative for Diddy, I won't say who,
hey, Chuck.
Just adamantly is denying and has reminded me that Diddy has previously denied this, and that these new allegations are not new whatsoever, actually, that they've been around for a very long time, and according to Team Diddy, have absolutely no merit whatsoever. But the interesting thing to me is that he has 3 lawyers, 3 law firms on retainer. I don't know how much money is coming in, but I know that a lot of money is going out every single month for Diddy.
Because he's got a lot of lawsuits that he's filing and fighting right now. And of
Federal
course, there's the potential of criminal charges on the horizon. Yep. Does law enforcement, do they consider Diddy a suspect? Have they ever investigated him for this?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. The person that made the allegations is currently behind bars here in Las Vegas, where I live. And I respect our law enforcement here, but I somehow don't believe that they would be investigating Diddy for a crime that allegedly occurred in the 90s in a different city, in a different state.
Well, and let's also be clear. Let's play the other side. You also have a guy who's on trial for going to be on trial for the murder of Tupac Shakur, putting the blame on a very high-profile rapper. Take it for what it is. Now, let's talk about Keefe D for a second, because he's been in the news a lot recently, and prosecutors say they have new evidence that places him at the murder scene, right?
I mean, I'm surprised that it took them decades to put him behind bars. I would like to believe that this evidence is legit and they have enough to convict him. I'm surprised that he's still behind bars. Like they consider him to be a real threat, yet he was here in the community for decades. We'll see. The trial has not begun yet, and he is trying to get out on bail, and there is a hearing scheduled on that soon.
Yeah, I think the prosecutors are saying he is a danger to society. And look, I think what they're saying is that his wife had booked a hotel room in Las Vegas, so his idea of not being there could be a little shoddy. All right.
Man, this is just too much. You just can't get enough of P. Diddy. So let me just tell you a little bit about what's going on. We just heard Perez Hilton say what he has to say.
The king of celebrity news.
So now we'll hear me say it in man tongue. So apparently Diddy was sued by a Sinaloa cartel member for allegedly ruining his drug business. The guy's name is Alfredo P. Gonzalez, and claims defamation after refusing to traffic minors. I don't understand all that. He seeks $666,000 in damages for lost criminal contacts, and the judge dismissed the case as frivolous and lacking standing. So this guy is a self-proclaimed member of the Sinaloa drug cartel. I mean, and I agree with the other commenter. Who was it? Yeah, Steve Ladner says there's no way, the Sinaloa cartel isn't going to file a lawsuit. They're just going to go to town on you, right? And take out your whole family probably. But it looks like he alleged defamation and that Diddy messed up his illicit drug business. It was filed on August 12th and then it was dismissed by Chief U.S. District Judge Taylor Swain on August 12th. So it just got dismissed a few days ago. Now this guy, Alfredo Gonzalez, he's currently incarcerated in Colorado, and he wants $666,000, which is kind of weird, like the number of the beast. He probably has some emotional issues. That's my guess. And he's saying that the trouble began when he refused to assist Colmes' alleged request to traffic minors. So that's when Diddy messed up his drug business, because there's a lot of evidence out there that Diddy likes to diddle with little children, right? Little boys. And I guess he's under investigation by the feds, similar to like an Epstein Island kind of a thing. And apparently he's into man love as well, and man love with little boys in particular. That's the story that's out there. And Judge Swain went ahead and dismissed that case. And first she ruled that he lacked legal standing to sue. And she said since his injuries stemmed from illegal activities, they weren't protected by the law. And so, and then also, Colmes has been at the center of a lot of lawsuits. A lot of people are going after him for sexual assault and whatnot. And so, just like they were saying in the video, he's been dumping an enormous amount of money into lawyers, and it's just been getting a little out of control. Yeah, I would say that's probably Mambla. That's right, Dr. Donna Walter. I think it's called the North American Man-Boy Love Association now. And it is interesting to point out that originally when the Pride movement got started, they didn't want to have anything to do with the man-boy love and the pedophile movement. But now with the advent of schools and the government forcing transsexuality on people, and with the titles, the Title 18, I think it was, the law that where Biden was trying to force little girls to play sports, to let boys on their sports teams. The Supreme Court just shut that down. But starting with the Biden administration, there became this drive to accept man-boy love, basically. And we know that California is trying to make sex with children less of an offense, and they actually passed a law that makes it easier for older men to have sex with underage minor boys. And that was because of Weiner, and Newsom just signed that law into effect. So we kind of see that there is a trend, and a lot of people think it's driven by these billionaires who pay off all these politicians so they won't get busted, because apparently there are over 2,000 pinhole cameras at Epstein Island. And it was all caught on tape. And now the FBI has all that tape. And since we know that all those guys were major party donors, they can now use those videotapes to blackmail the same way that Hoover blackmailed President Kennedy and a lot of other presidents. So we know that that goes on. We know that absolute power corrupts absolutely. And that's why I'm a proponent of abolishing the administrative state completely. There's no need for it. All it does is create unions that allow politicians to get more power with the union dues, donations, and ultimately we, the people, are the ones who lose, because you lose individual power and it's given over to a collective with your tax dollars, like the SEIU or the US Post Office, who are a main Democrat Party donor, and also now get to count all your votes. And we know that at least one of the Mark Zuckerberg drop boxes, there were like over, was it 2,000 votes cast at that one box, and only 20 people showed up to put mail in based on hidden camera. So we know what's going on. We know what's happening in real time, guys. There's a lot of corruption out there, and the administrative state uses all of its government agencies, basically, in my opinion, to rig elections and to take away power from the individual. So let's get into what we came here to talk about, which is police chiefs and their power, and sheriffs as well. So police chiefs and sheriffs have an enormous amount of power. And so I was going through some of my old videos and looking at some of my old lawsuits that I brought against some police departments. And I was starting to realize, you know, I should do a show for you guys. Diddy dong, diddy do. That's right, Brick. Shitty Diddy. I love it. So I was looking at some of this stuff and I was going, you know, I should do a show for you guys so you can sort of understand the difference between the role of a sheriff as well and the role of a municipal police chief, as well as how power goes to their heads and why it's so important that we have oversight of, and we don't allow agencies to investigate themselves, right? Give me a bunch of ones if you guys agree we shouldn't allow government agencies to investigate themselves. That's absurd. I want to see some ones. Dr. Donna Walter says, my father was still alive when Wiener exposed his wiener. He was flabbergasted. Yeah, it's true, Dr. Donna. I mean, so basically, like, our whole culture has been driven by San Francisco for the last 4 years, I would say, maybe longer, since the advent of Twitter. They tried to force their San Francisco values on the world. And if you went against anything that went against their so-called terms of service, AKA anything they disagree with politically, they would just ban your accounts in violation of Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. They need to get their butt sued. But hey, Chevy, good seeing you, man. And Dr. Donna Walter, that is true. Sheriffs are elected and they have a lot of power. So here, you know what I'm going to do, guys? I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the differences. And I got to find this stuff. So much stuff that I've got for you guys today. Well, the bottom line is that a sheriff is an elected official. All right. Typically, your police chiefs aren't elected. That's number one. Sheriffs come from English common law. They started, you know, a long time ago, around the time of the Magna Carta. And I don't know what at Chad is, targeted Patton. Somebody help me understand what's up at chat. I don't know what that is. But I'm glad to have you here, targeted Patton, and Intersections 1, loving it. Dang Diddy, loving all you guys. Thanks for showing up. They're talking about the P. Diddy expose that I did, where I guess a Sinaloa drug cartel member is suing him for screwing up his drug business. I guess that case got thrown out. But anyways, so typically a municipal cop, city cop, is going to be, their job is to protect the city, to protect government property and government officials. They have no general duty to protect individuals. And neither does the sheriff, for that matter. But the sheriffs have more of a push to protect individuals because they are typically elected. So if they don't protect people, they're not going to get reelected. So that's kind of one of the major differences. But let's get into this video really quick so you can see what's going on in Coffee City, Texas. By the way, I am a lawyer licensed in Texas. And so I wanted to watch this first and let you guys see. Man, I'll tell you, Texas has a lot of corrupt cops. I'm not going to lie. Let's see what's going on.
I'm investigative reporter Jeremy Rogowski. This investigation started with a tip from a KHEO 11 viewer just like you. The tipster said, hey, you have to check out this small town called Coffee City, Texas.
Coffee City.
It's hiring a ton of cops, and word has it, a lot of them have troubled pasts. So we pulled on that thread, requested a lot of records, and dug in deep. That took a while, and that journalistic journey led us to discover even more problems at this department. And in the end, our investigation got results. Just 2 weeks after our first story aired, the city council took swift and serious action. It fired the police chief and shut down the entire police force.
That's amazing.
New tonight, a tiny Texas town of about 250 people has 50 sworn police officers on the force.
We're talking about Coffee City. That's up in
50.
Henderson County, some 3 hours north of Houston. They have one cop for every 5 residents. And what's more, Jeremy Rogowski discovered many of those officers have a history of problems wearing the
Guys, can you imagine one cop for every 5 residents? I mean, how do they afford that, right? It sounds like corruption to me. What do you guys think?
badge.
On the banks of Lake Palestine, some 3 hours north of Houston, this dot on the map has quite a reputation among those who drive through.
They're everywhere, literally everywhere.
They run back and forth, back and forth.
A lot of officers policing a very small number of people.
Only 249 people, says the sign on the edge of town. And when you add up all the full-time cops and reserves,
50 officers.
Good Lord, that's crazy.
This is such a small town. Why do we need so many? Makes no sense. Why you need that many officers?
Coffee City hauled in $1 million in court fines last year for more than 5,000 violations officers wrote, the most in the state for.
And of course, we know that based on press with Rancor and other people and anecdotal evidence that a lot of the local police, they like to target out of towners. But based upon my understanding of this particular police force, they just target everybody unless they're a family member or a friend of someone on the force. So let's keep watching so you guys can kind of understand what the heck is going on. This is pretty amazing stuff that this has been allowed to happen in this country.
For a town its size.
But this isn't a story about a small town writing a bunch of tickets. You see, Coffee City is a magnet for troubled cops.
How do we know? KHOU 11 Investigates obtained personnel records from other police agencies. And
Wait, hold up a minute. Hold up a minute, guys. Look, this is an interactive show, right? This is an interactive show. So Misfit 4 says, I got caught up out there. So Misfit 4, throw us in the comments. Tell me what happened if you could for the audience. I sure would like for my audience to know what the heck happened. I've heard some other stories. I actually got a call a couple of years ago from someone about this. And I was right in the middle of preparing for a wrongful death trial in Los Angeles. And I guess he hired someone else, but I never forgot. And I still have the guy's information. I'm going to give him a call. Let's keep watching.
More than half of Coffee City officers had been suspended, demoted, terminated, or dishonorably discharged from their previous jobs. A dozen were even criminally charged.
I was astounded to think that they've been hired by another agency.
Greg Freeman is a Sam Houston State criminal justice professor and retired Houston police captain.
I've never seen anything like that in my professional career, and I've seen a lot.
Their prior discipline ranges from excessive force to public drunkenness, untruthfulness, and association with known criminals. Criminal charges include DWI, theft, aggravated assault, family violence, and endangering a child.
If you knowingly are hiring an officer that has a very troubled past.
Okay, guys. So before we finish with this guy saying, check this out. So Misfit 4, he's one of our audience. By the way, thanks for showing up, Misfit 4. I don't know if you're one of my subscribers, but make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that like and subscribe button. But he's saying, or Misfit 4, I don't know if you're a girl or a they, them, or whatever, but it says that you hit a speed trap, but you weren't speeding. You were going about 55 and a 65, and then you hit the city. And then all of a sudden it was 35. So you got caught going 55 and a 35 because it was a speed trap. And even the judge told you that. And you know what? It reminds me of my trips because, I'm from California and my buddies and I used to go down to K38s. I was a surfer. I still am, but now I have to drive a lot further. But we used to go to K38s down in Rosarita, and we would do the Ortega's by the Sea, the all-you-can-eat crab, and endless tecates for like $3 or whatever. It was ridiculous. So we would go down there and party our butts off. And the police literally had like stop signs hidden behind. Let me show you an example. Like, let's say this is a pillar that's holding up, like a roof, right? And then your car's driving this way, and right here is the stop sign. My hand would be the stop sign right behind the pillar, and the federale would be standing out in the street. Stop sign's right here. These guys will pull you over and give you a ticket and say you blew through the stop sign, and then, you give them $20. And if you didn't, they'd mysteriously find a pot seed in your car or something, and you end up in a Mexican prison. So that was the only downside to going down to Mexico. But typically the federales and us got along super good. We always made sure to give them a 20. Always made sure to shake their hand and be nice to them. I speak enough Spanish to where because I grew up in construction. So I was forced, my dad every year had me work with the labor. So I learned Mexicano Spanish way. ¿Por qué? Te la chupas way. You know what I mean? Like construction worker Spanish. So I got along really great with those guys. And this reminds me of what happened to us when we would go down into K-38s to have fun down there. And it was just wild. So this is another example, but it's happening in our own country. In fact, that convention last night, it reminded me of the old pre-party in Mexico in the 1980s, how they were using voting machines and, whatever they could to try to fudge elections. And ultimately they were able to become a single party system because of that. And ultimately the downfall of the pre-party was tampering with votes by using a voting machine. And they got caught. It's amazing how voting machines are back. They should be totally illegal and outlawed. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree it destroys election integrity. And give me a bunch of ones if you agree that a partisan, politically charged agency like the U.S. Post Office, which is like 99.99% Democrat, should have no business at all in having anything to do with elections, especially when they're a tax-funded agency and the party that opposes them wants to abolish the United States Post Office. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree it's totally unfair to have a partisan political organization like the USPS having anything to do with our elections. But now let's get back into the American pre-party in Texas. Here we go.
In history, and has no business to be wearing a uniform. And it's a very, very precarious slope that city is engaging in by hiring.
This is the man who hired them. Chief John J. Portillo quadrupled the department's size since he took the job 2 years ago. He says to provide 24/7 coverage for the town.
Why would you hire so many people with all these red flags?
There's more to just what's on paper. And that's where I rely on my captain and my background investigators to go in and dig and say, hey, what's the truth behind this?
The chief says criminal charges were often dismissed, dishonorable discharges overturned.
Of course.
He claims most applicants hired got on the wrong side of agency politics.
If you go back to the totality of a lot of these officers' stuff, I would say 75%, or not more, they're being retaliated against from their agency.
Retaliate?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you take a chance, Chief?
I try to look at the good in everybody, and I believe everybody deserves an opportunity.
You give a lot of opportunities.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
The opportunity to wear a badge allows his officers to work extra jobs, which can mean real money.
Real money.
$50 an hour or more.
I mean, let's not hide it from anybody. They're making probably about 80 to 100,000.
Yeah, and let's not hide it from anybody that $50 an hour in Texas is like $150 an hour in the communist Soviet Republic of California. So that's a lot of money for these guys down in Texas. Let's keep on going.
You're doing that.
And I asked Portillo directly, does he get a cut of his officers' extra job wages? Twice during our interview, the chief said no. The only money he makes from extra jobs is from the ones he works himself. And that takes us from Coffee City to Houston and what's coming up tomorrow night at 10.
Call Garcia right now.
That's Chief Portillo caught on camera cussing out an elected Harris County constable. Portillo was working security for a Southeast Houston apartment complex nearly 200 miles away from Coffee City. More on that video and what else we learned about Chief Portillo's past as our investigation continues tomorrow at 10. Len and me.
Jeremy Rogowski, fascinating report there.
We'll see you tomorrow for more. Thank you.
And here it is. We're just going to keep rolling it. We're going to keep rolling this
Coffee
beautiful
City,
game
Texas, a
footage
small
right now.
town of about 250 people and 50 police officers on the force.
Our investigative team dug through records and found half of those officers had been suspended, demoted, or fired from previous jobs.
I want to jump in really quick here. Hey, Steve Ladner, Steve's saying some people think Mexico can be a bad place, but you do not see self-proclaimed heroes act up because they know what can and will happen. Hey, look, I don't think Mexico is a bad place at all. And I think that the people of Mexico and the people of South and Central America are a superior group of people. And I'm not saying a superior race, I'm saying a superior culture, because they believe in keeping families tight. They don't separate their families as a general rule. They look after their parents when they're older, and they're just really good people. I got to tell you, I grew up in the construction business, so I worked with Mexicans and people from South and Central America. They're the hardest working people that I've ever met. They were the kindest people that I've ever met. When I was, younger, I got kicked out of school for fighting, and my dad and I weren't getting along well, and I stayed in a tent in the backyard of one of these construction workers, and he was trying to get his daughter to marry me or whatever. I wasn't interested. I was trying to become a Marine, and that's all I cared about. But the bottom line is these are the type of people culturally who will give you the shirt off your back. And so I just wanted to throw that out there for you, Steve, because I think you're right, Steve. I think that Mexico is a great place. And Paulie Walnuts, I probably am romanticizing, because I miss those days, the youth and all that, when we had a country that wasn't run by BlackRock and the Soros family. Let's keep on going.
Some even criminally charged.
And Jeremy Rogowski discovered the man who hired them can have a short fuse when dealing with others who wear the badge here in Harris County.
Coffee City's police chief routinely works an extra job 200 miles away at this Houston apartment complex. And on this day, watch how John J. Portillo behaves.
I'm about to call Garcia and tell him he's going to be next election.
It's an expletive-filled rant launched at the elected constable of Harris County Precinct 2, Jerry Garcia.
I'll call Garcia right now. Tell him his chain of command is.
Portillo wanted Precinct 2 to file charges on a man he says assaulted him at the complex. It was just one of many requests the constable says kept coming in from off-duty Coffee City cops.
Which at first was, no big deal. We help anybody and everybody. But then we noticed that it was becoming a pattern.
That pattern, the constable says, was draining resources. So Garcia reached out to the Harris County District Attorney's Office.
And we were advised to tell Chief Portillo that he had to file the charges.
But when deputies did just that, Portillo left a nasty voicemail.
And your captains, lieutenants, or whoever those numbnuts are that you have working for you, tell them your guy's not to help us out.
It saddened me. It upset me to hear that. This isn't something small. This is pretty upsetting.
What upset the constable even more, the response his agency got back after alerting Coffee City's mayor. I don't see very much there that warrants any disciplinary action from the city, the mayor wrote. The officers are contracted by the...
That's because the mayor, the chief, and all these guys are buddies, just like these politicians, right? Like the Bidens or whatever. They're all the same. These are people who have never had a real job, including Harris. They've never been in the private sector. They've just always worked, not even worked, but been employed by the government with your tax dollars. They have no idea what it's like to make payroll. They have no idea what it's like to suffer, because all their lives, they basically lived like leeches off taxpayers. So it's very easy for them to come along and do things like this because it's all they know. It's called the political class. That's all it is. They're the political class, which needs to be abolished quickly, or we're going to lose our country.
Property for off-duty police protection. You may want to reach out to them with any complaints.
Didn't think that it merited any disciplinary action against him. It's crazy.
Greg Freeman is a Sam Houston State criminal justice professor and retired Houston police captain.
Basically, you're enabling bad behavior now. And that's exactly what the mayor has done.
So what does Chief Portillo have to say for himself?
I was amped up. And I apologized to my city council, at city council.
Did you apologize to Constable Garcia?
No, I haven't had a chance to. I haven't talked to him.
The cussing incident happened 6 months ago. Is that the real John J. Portillo that people are seeing in this video?
No, I don't just go off the handle.
Well, you did hear.
Yeah, because I got socked in the face. I was mad. I was red, and I was upset because they wouldn't help me file the charges.
It's not the only example we found that calls into question Portillo's character and integrity. In his application to become Coffee City's chief,
Here we
he
go.
never listed this, a DWI charge out of Florida in which he failed to appear in court. Why wouldn't you disclose that, chief?
Didn't disclose. It was over 10 years ago.
You had an active warrant.
Huh? That was disposed of.
No, it wasn't. Court records show the day after our interview, Portillo hired a Florida defense attorney who filed a not guilty plea in the case. From the looks of it, you weren't being truthful on the application to which you hold the job this day. Chief,
Yeah, I understand. I mean, but that's not what it is. I'm not being truthful.
you forgot?
I put down everything that was in my mind when I filled out my application to the best of my knowledge.
Well, that same job application states there are criminal consequences for lying on a
Nothing's
government
gonna
document.
happen.
Len and Mia.
Okay, so there's more to this investigation tomorrow night.
Yeah, tomorrow we reveal how some Coffee City
We're gonna keep
officers
rolling
were
this
working
footage, man.
full-time right here in Harris County, and how the chief suspended that division after we started asking questions.
We'll see that tomorrow night. Thank you, Jeremy.
See you then.
Very
Mhm.
interesting.
Insane in the membrane, right, guys? Just
A
totally insane.
211 investigation leads to changes at a Texas police
Here we
department.
go.
This week, we've showed you how the town of Coffee City, 3 hours north of Houston, is a
Here we go,
magnet
guys.
for
Here we
cops
go.
with troubling backgrounds.
Now, the chief is temporarily shutting down a division that works here in Harris County.
Total
After Jeremy
disregard.
Rogowski questioned whether it's legal.
Coffee City, Texas, a dot on the map with barely 250 residents, has a police force of 50 officers, 5 times the number of cops than any other Texas town its size. And that's not the
Racket.
only thing unusual or odd. Turns out there are a half dozen full-time Coffee City police officers who don't even work in Coffee City, Texas. Instead, they work from home more than 3 hours and nearly 200 miles away in Houston.
It's hard to believe that that is happening.
Greg Freeman is a Sam Houston State criminal justice professor.
I've never seen anything like that. There are 100 questions that come to my mind.
Who are these officers? This internal email shows they're part of a warrant division.
And by the way, Greg's a former cop, so like he knows the inside scoop. So keep on listening. This is unbelievable what's going on in Texas, for crying out loud.
It reads, there is no need to go to Coffee City because you will be spending 95% of your time on the phone, calling people who have outstanding warrants and collecting failure to appear fines. And because it's a full-time position, there's an added perk.
It gives them the ability to go work an extra job.
Coffee City Chief John J Portillo concedes they're on the books as full-time because state law only allows full-time cops to work extra security
So
jobs.
they're ripping off the
At this
government.
Houston apartment complex,
Ripping off the
some
taxpayers.
Coffee City warrant officers do just that and make more than $50 an hour.
They work 2-3 days a week, 4 days a week.
But is it
Yeah, Watkins Inc. says, isn't everything bigger in Texas? I guess crime too, right, guys?
all above board? The warrant division is a performance-based division, and officers' pay is
Wow.
based on the failure to appears they collect.
They're basically bounty hunters in a way.
Freeman says
Yeah.
that amounts to
That's
a
right.
commission for collecting fines.
It doesn't make any sense. From an ethical perspective, it just screams questions about the legitimacy of what they're doing.
That's because
Wanda.
state law requires full-time peace officers to get paid at least at the federal minimum wage. But again, at the Coffee City Warrant Division,
The court gives them $150 for each warrant that they clear.
so they don't earn a salary apart from that $150
No, sir. No, sir.
a head.
Correct.
They get.
Correct.
They work on
Is that
commission.
legal?
Oh, I believe so.
2 days after our interview, Coffee City PD.
Wait a minute. This is like the head of the police. A reporter asks him, hey, is it legal for you to like have guys like, you know, working off of a commission, like whatever they collect in warrant fees? Is that legal? I don't know.
Change course, sending out this email to warrant detectives that said, due to unforeseen difficulties, the program has been suspended until such time as I can make sure that we are in compliance with labor laws. So whose job is it to police the police? The Department of Public Safety enforces any extra job violations,
The Texas Commission on Law Enforcement, or TCOL, has the power to suspend or revoke a peace officer's license. That agency confirms to us it does have an open investigation into the Coffee City Police Department.
You raising a lot of eyebrows, Jeremy. Thank you.
Sure.
Keep watching, guys.
New developments tonight in the
keeps getting
KTU11
better.
investigation of the Coffee City Police Department.
Last week, we uncovered the town of 250 people has 50 officers on the force.
Yeah.
And more than half
Wild,
of those
man.
officers have tainted past.
Big
Now,
time.
Jeremy Rogowski reports the Coffee City Council has suspended the chief of police.
Right, really quick, just so you guys know, like this is one of those things that Chili DeCastro talks about, how law enforcement officers get recycled like bad cops. They'll send them like a couple hundred miles away somewhere else, and they just keep on violating people. Let's just watch what's going on with this jerk.
Chief John J Portillo is off the job for 30 days. The Coffee City Council voted to suspend him pending an independent investigation into what we found. KHEO 11 Investigates revealed how Portillo routinely hired officers who had been suspended, demoted, terminated, or dishonorably discharged from their previous law enforcement jobs for a wide range of misconduct or even criminal charges. We also reported on a profanity-filled rant the chief launched at a Harris County constable while he was working an extra security job in Houston. And we uncovered how Portillo failed to list on his job application this active DWI case out of Florida in which he failed to appear in court.
From the looks of it,
Wow.
you weren't being truthful on the application to which you hold the job this day. Chief,
Yeah, I understand. I mean, but that's not what it is. I'm not being truthful.
you forgot?
I put down everything that was in my mind when I filled out my application to the best of my knowledge.
What a
Our
dick.
investigation also revealed how Coffee City warrant officers didn't even work in Coffee City. They stayed home in Houston, spending their time on the phone, calling people with outstanding traffic warrants and collecting failure to appear fines. After we questioned Portillo about the program,
Is that legal?
Oh, I believe so.
the chief suspended the warrant division.
We got hold of Portillo on the phone. The chief declined to comment about the suspension. And that's not the only shakeup in the Coffee City ranks. Sergeant Cody Welch resigned from the department. We don't know why.
Yeah,
Welch
how
also
convenient,
declined
right?
to comment. Jeremy Rogowski,
Right, Wanda.
KHOU 11 investigates.
KHU 11 Investigates uncovered questionable hiring practices in a small
I
town
believe you
police
targeted.
department with 50 officers for 250 people. Last night, we told you how the police chief was suspended for 30 days.
Tonight, there is new reaction from the mayor of Coffee City, who is talking for the very first time. Investigative reporter Jeremy Rogowski
Just
tells
really quick, guys. This mayor should be drawn and quartered or tarred and feathered or something. The fact that this is a little legal principle for you. It's called vicarious liability. It's the law of master and servant. The master is liable for the crimes and offenses of his servant because he's presumed to be working for his master. And because of that, the master needs to know what his servant is up to. And because of that, the sheriff, or in this case, the chief and the mayor, are no different. They're both the same. They're working as an agency, as basically co-conspirators. And this mayor needs to go.
Tells us what he had to say and the changes the mayor says are on the way.
Mayor Jeff Blackstone declined our repeated requests for an
course,
on-camera
because he's a
interview,
crook,
but he
in my
did sit
opinion.
down with our sister station in Tyler. The mayor concedes he was unaware of many of the issues we uncovered.
Bullshit.
First reaction.
He was aware of everything because he's the mayor. He's presumed to know. And I guarantee you that all these guys are buddies, and there was a lot of money passing around behind the doors.
Was just kind of shocked.
Mayor Blackstone says he had no idea more than half of the 50 officers on the Coffee City Police Department had been suspended,
How could he
demoted,
not know that?
terminated, or dishonorably discharged from previous law enforcement jobs, some even criminally charged. The mayor and all the current city council members took office after John J. Portillo was hired as police chief. So the mayor says they were unaware of what we uncovered on
Lies.
Portillo's job application,
Lies.
that he failed to list an active DWI charge out of Florida.
I was not pleased whenever I heard the allegations, because if they are true, then that looks really bad. So we just have to make sure that we get to the bottom of all of this.
The mayor said.
So let me just tell you guys something. So you guys know I'm a personal injury attorney, right? Right, of course. So the way this works is he is liable for the crimes and the torts of his servants under the vicarious liability, master and servant. He's presumed to have knowledge of this. And he definitely, this would be, so if that cop hurt someone or anybody on his force hurt someone, I could sue the mayor for negligent hiring, because the mayor should have had procedures, policies, and protocols in place to make sure that this kind of stuff doesn't happen. So the mayor is more culpable than the chief, in my opinion. It's his fault that this happened. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree.
Says while Chief Portillo is on a 30-day paid suspension, Coffee City will investigate the issues internally, as well as hiring an independent investigation firm. The scope of that probe will include the department's warrant officers, who we found didn't even work in Coffee City, but rather stayed home in Houston on the phone trying to collect outstanding traffic fines.
And getting a
We
commission.
weren't really fully aware of how it was operating, and that was all kind of brought to light as well through this story.
Going forward, the mayor says all police applications will be reviewed by the entire city council before any officer is hired. His goal, rebuilding the reputation.
So wait a minute, who reviewed them before? Right? It's like, come on, guys. Negligent hiring
of his town's police force and public trust.
These are allegations that we can't just turn a blind eye to.
The mayor also says Coffee City is asking the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement, or TCO, for assistance with information. That agency already has an open investigation into the department. Jeremy Rogowski, KHOU 11 investigates.
Steve, you're killing me, man. You're killing me. Steve says the mayor's IQ is 5 points lower than the chief's. You guys are something else. That wasn't very nice. The thought police are going to get you.
Up first tonight, breaking news from the KHOU 11 Investigates team.
Just a few hours ago, the city council in tiny Coffee City, Texas, voted unanimously to fire its police chief and deactivate the entire police department until a new chief can be hired. This comes after KHOU 11 Investigates uncovered questionable practices.
So they voted unanimously to let the guy take the fall for them, because I guarantee you they're all in on it. Come on. One out of every citizens is a police officer in this town. Trust me, the whole city government's corrupt.
In the department in a series of reports.
Jeremy Rogowski is in Coffee City tonight with the exclusive update. Jeremy.
The Coffee City Council took less than 15 minutes to reach its decision. It means this tiny town of 250 people that once had 50 officers on the force.
That's right, Scott.
Has none.
Coffee City Council members took swift and serious action after what KHOU 11 Investigates uncovered. A police department that routinely hired cops with troubling work histories, hired by a chief, J Portillo, who had an unresolved criminal charge, and who launched a questionable warrant division with officers who didn't even work in Coffee City.
There was things that we weren't aware of.
I mean, guys, just think about this. This guy's the chief of police of this little town, Coffee, right? And he's got active criminal warrants in Florida for his arrest and jail time. Active warrants, and he's a chief of police. Talk about what a screwed up country we're living in right now, guys.
And that just like really opened our eyes.
That's
that,
just unbelievable to me.
There's major changes that have got to be made, and made quickly.
Portillo had tried to email his resignation before the meeting.
Sure, he did.
Council members refused to accept it and instead outright fired the chief. And in a bombshell move, it also voted to deactivate the department as a whole.
We just felt it was best to basically terminate the program. That way we were able to go out, find a new chief, let him do all the proper evaluations and determine.
Hey, listen, guys, they don't need a chief. All they have to do is lease the county sheriff. That's all they got to do. They do not need a chief of police in a town with a couple hundred people. That's ridiculous. These people are insane.
I mean, if he wants to rehire anybody or just start from scratch.
The action was welcome news for many residents who say they've lived with over-aggressive policing for too long.
Ever since we moved here, it was every day cop pulling in for one reason or another.
Job
Something needed
security.
to happen.
That's for sure.
The Henderson County Sheriff's Office will respond to calls for the time being. As for the 50 full-time and reserve officers, we're told they will not be allowed to perform police officer activities unless or until they're picked up by another department. Finally, we reached out to John J. Portillo for comment. We have not heard back.
It has been
Yeah, so
quite
that's, and that's typical, guys. It's just the typical nonsense. They always, when they get caught, here's the problem. When the government gets caught, when the politicians get caught, they immediately throw the police under the bus. So this takes us back to the Eric Garner case. Remember the I Can't Breathe case? For those of you who are new to my channel, you'll see that I think that police are merely following the example set by their masters. That's why the police have become so corrupt, because they're just doing what the politicians are doing, because it's what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Case in point, in the Soviet Socialist Republic of New York, we had the government vote to charge, I think it was an outrageous cigarette tax, right? And so the local shopkeepers were infuriated because they weren't able to sell cigarettes because people could just go across into New Jersey and buy cigarettes without paying the tax, which is people vote with their feet, right? That's why everybody's leaving California and New York right now, who have means and who have businesses, because they don't want a bunch of communists voting to steal everything from them to give it away to people for votes so they can stay in power, which is probably what happened over here in coffee. But in the New York case, really interesting, Garner was selling loosies for $3, which is a loose cigarette, and he was standing in front of these shops. Well, the shops got pissed off and they stopped donating money and threatened to cut off funds to these politicians unless they started enforcing the cigarette tax, because, the only way they could sell cigarettes is if the homeless people weren't standing in front of their shop. So the police came, they got aggressive with Garner and ended up killing him. They choked him to death. Remember, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. It was over a loose cigarette. That was because of the government. It was because of the politicians and their bullshit laws designed to take away and restrict the freedoms of people, treat us like children, instead of allowing us to be the free men upon the land that our founding fathers had intended. So we'll just get into, I don't want to get too much on my soapbox. Let me thank everybody. Jeff, thanks for coming in. Mias Taro, thank you again for joining me. Hell yeah, I'm digging it, man. We got Ralph Riley back in. Ralph, I appreciate you being patient with me on the verticals, man. It really does help us appeal to the younger generation. Remember that most of the older guys want to watch those horizontals, but all the kids, they're on their phones and they're watching verticals. And I want to teach them about the history of our country, about the Constitution, and about what a great system the Constitution is and what our founding fathers set up for us, how amazing it was. So for me, I think it makes more sense to do the verticals and to try to appeal to the younger crowd. So hopefully that answers the questions. I saw a couple people go, hey, what's with the vertical? But that's why. And also I can do shorts easier with the vertical because all the shorts are in vertical. Let's keep watching.
Inside the city or out here? Just right here. Okay.
Go pull the video at Valero. You get on my traffic stop again, I will arrest you.
Yeah, I'll arrest you right now.
Do it, buddy.
And we're going to
do it.
Charge you.
Do it.
All right. So this is Georgia sheriff and a city sergeant fighting with each other over a traffic stop. All right, just to give some context, let's keep watching.
Do it, Ode. Go for it. There's cameras at Valero and there's cameras at Napa that see you pulled out.
Shut your mouth.
You don't talk to me like that. I'm not your boy.
Talk to you, boy. You a boy.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Everybody,
thank you. Thank you. Info.
Mother.
So really quick. So that was an example of county and city jurisdiction. So as I said before, by the way, thank you, Ralph. Ralph just said we can only serve but one master, and he's right. And thanks for the $2, man. That'll go towards my son's next belt, which will be a green belt in judo. And one of the reasons why I started the show early tonight is because I'm hoping I can get him over to judo class because he's been missing it because we've been in the process of moving. And one thing about boys, man, you got to keep them active and you got to always give them that fatherly supervision. Very important for young men. It's proven that, kids with fathers far less likely to go to prison, whereas a single mother's kids are far more likely to go to prison. So a 2-parent family is optimal, but if you want to keep your kids out of prison, have the father rear them up if the family's separated. That's the best way to look over them. So luckily I have an amazing wife, but she's busy. So I always want to make sure that I keep them active, keep those kids active, and keep them knowing and seeing that I'm supervising and staying active and involved in their lives. Sorry, I didn't mean to get too far off, but let's watch the next one. This is about a corrupt chief that resigned after arresting the same guy 3 times at the same stop. This is just crazy stuff that's going on, man. It's just really fun to watch. And this is from Audit the Audit. This is like one of these real legit audit dudes. He's not a lawyer.
Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and
I don't know
the
who
right
this guy
and
is,
wrong
but
of
he's
police
legit.
interactions. This episode covers trespassing, the First Amendment, and resisting arrest, and is brought to us by the First Amendment Protection Agency's channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. Sponsor Fume.
Let's get
X-Fume is
forward a little
computer
bit. I don't want to really get into all
filling
the
the different
ads and
flavor audit
whatnot.
for Scam today on City Hall. Mr. Medallia remained in the
Here we go.
New Ellington, South Carolina, to conduct an audit. The New Ellington Police Department is located in the back of the City Hall building, but Mr. Medallia entered through the public entrance for City Hall. Mr. Medallia remained in the City Hall portion of the building and was filming the public areas when Chief Sean Middleton of the New Ellington Police Department approached him and informed him he was not permitted to film in the building. Mr. Medallia posted the footage from his cell phone on his YouTube channel and later obtained and shared Chief Middleton's
Right
body
on.
camera footage, which captured the encounter that followed.
What are you in the middle of?
Recording.
Recording.
That one right there.
Oh, you want the history of New Ellington?
I'm sorry?
You want the history of New Ellington?
Maybe a little bit of it, wherever I can find in the public areas in here, yeah.
Okay, there's a library over there and give you all of it.
Okay, thank you. I did see that actually when I pulled up.
Okay.
From that way.
Well, that's
Show me out at
I didn't know that,
my
Ralph.
police department with a gentleman who is recording on the inside of the building. No, sir.
Are you?
Restricted area.
Where does it say that?
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Sir, if you don't mind, please
No,
exit.
I do. That's
Exit, please.
No, thank you.
I'm only going to give you one more opportunity.
And then what's going to happen?
Exit the building.
No, thank you. As soon as I'm done.
Come on, sir. Please.
Excuse me.
Please.
Excuse me.
Let's
Please don't
exit,
touch
please.
me.
Let's exit, please, sir.
Can I have
Sir,
your name and badge number?
I'm Chief Middleton.
Okay.
My badge number is 200. Okay.
So why are you?
You can please
why are you
exit.
putting your hands on me?
I'm going to exit you out of the building.
Okay. No. You're
Okay.
not. You
No,
didn't
I did not assault you. And
Okay, so he's right. He didn't assault him. In California, that would be considered a battery. It's a harmful and offensive touching, and he had no legal authority to touch this guy. Mind you, the guy did ask him, what are the consequences if I don't leave? And the sheriff or the chief refused to answer because he knows that he has no legal authority to arrest this guy.
did this.
You did not assault
Just
me.
like
You battered
this.
me. You
Let's
battered
go.
me. That's unnecessary battery.
Sir, please
It is
exit
a
our
battery.
building. This is enough.
No, thank you. I'm going to walk by now.
You're not going to walk by.
So why are you
Okay.
doing this? You came up to me and put your hands on me.
What is your agenda here?
What is my agenda?
That's right. What are you
I don't
doing?
need to tell you.
You say you were doing history.
You were.
So you record that.
That's
You can
more
go to the
information than
library.
I need to give you.
Okay.
Hey, give me a bunch of ones if you think that police officers should at least take a basic literacy test before they allow them on the force. Because when you have someone go, "Blah, blah, 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 blah," they just sound kind of dumb, don't you think? Give me a bunch of ones.
If you don't mind, I would like for you to exit this building.
I do. I already
Okay.
told you that like 4 times.
All right. You under arrest?
Sir.
Now you're trespassing on
okay.
public property.
You trespassing, know what I'm saying?
Yes, I gave you
Trespassing on public property. Do you guys see this?
I gave you plenty of opportunities, sir.
Chief Middleton tells Mr. Medallia that he is under arrest for trespassing on public property. Section 16-11-620 of the South Carolina Code states that any person who enters the premises of another person and fails
Absolutely,
and refuses
Ron.
without good cause or good excuse to leave immediately upon being ordered or requested to do so by the person in possession or his agent or representative has committed criminal trespassing. Although Mr. Medallia did refuse to leave the building after Chief Middleton repeatedly ordered him to do so, as the Supreme Court of South Carolina determined in the 1970 case of State versus Hannipol when interpreting a prior but nearly identical version of the state's trespassing statute, quote, "This statute applies only to private property and has no application to public property, and therefore," now quoting again, "a conviction thereunder for an alleged trespass upon public property is not warranted and cannot be sustained." Now, while South Carolina does have a trespassing on public property statute, which is codified in section 16-11-630, it only prohibits refusing to leave publicly owned premises, quote, "during during those hours of the day or night when the premises are regularly closed to the public. As the City Hall was open to the public at the time Mr. Medaglia was performing his audit, a court would almost certainly conclude that he could not be convicted of trespassing for his refusal to leave. Additionally, even if South Carolina's trespassing law applied to public property, Mr. Medaglia could argue that Chief Middleton violated the First Amendment by ordering him to leave for simply filming in the public lobby of City Hall. In the 2023 case of Sharp versus Winterville Police Department, the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, which has jurisdiction over South Carolina, joined the majority of federal circuits that have recognized that the First Amendment protects filming the police in public performance of their duty.
Hey guys, everybody, just really quick, make sure to like and subscribe to Audit the Audit. I mean, this guy, I don't know who he is, but his videos are top notch. He comes up with good lawyer-like arguments. He is fair and balanced as far as I'm concerned. So whoever this guy is, make sure to like and subscribe to Audit the Audit. I think that whoever they are, legit. These are legit auditors.
Duties. Although the holding in the Sharp case was narrow, with the court simply stating that, quote, "We thus hold that live streaming a police traffic stop is speech protected by the First Amendment." In supporting its conclusion, the Fourth Circuit discussed the types of speech that are protected in much broader terms, noting that creating and disseminating information is protected speech under the First Amendment, that a major purpose of the First Amendment is to protect the free discussion of governmental affairs, and that other courts had routinely recognized that the First Amendment covers recording, particularly when the information involves matters of public interest. Likewise, other circuits that have addressed the issue have used more inclusive language to define the right to record. For instance, in the 2000 case of Smith versus City of Cumming, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals concluded that, quote, "The First Amendment protects the right to gather information about what public officials do on public property, and specifically a right to record matters of public interest." And in the 2011 case of Glick versus Cuniff, the First Circuit Court of Appeals determined that, quote, "The First Amendment protects the filming of government officials in public space." However, the fact that filming is protected by the First Amendment does not necessarily mean that the government can never restrict the right to record in public. And here, Chief Middleton expressed concern for the privacy of activities occurring in the police department portion of the building. Now, although some courts have concluded that policies prohibiting filming in police department lobbies are reasonable restrictions that protect the safety, security, and privacy of officers, informants, and victims, Mr. Medaglia remained in the City Hall portion of the building, where these same concerns would not apply.
That's right. He was in a public area, and the chief even was like, "Hey, you'd be going into that restricted area." And he's like, "Well, show me the restricted area sign." And the chief couldn't do it. So clearly he was lying through his teeth.
He would have a strong argument that any policy prohibiting filming in that area violated the First Amendment.
I want you to think about what you're doing right now.
No, you're making things more difficult than what it is.
Think about what you're doing.
I would like for you to exit the building. You're recording in here.
Yep.
This is the police department.
Yep. Now where are we going to take this?
You're going to go on the outside.
This ought to be fun for you.
And then you're going to leave.
No, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to step right back in as soon as you take these cuffs off of me because you know you're making a mistake right now.
I asked you to exit and you did not exit.
Look, this is going to be illegal search and seizure.
It's not illegal search and seizure.
Oh, yes, it is.
I don't have to search you.
It's not illegal to do, but you have to
you get out of my building.
Thank you for taking the cuffs off me.
Going in my building.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I'll be going right back in.
He's going to try to come right back in. I'm not going to let this guy in.
Illegally
I'm gonna lock this building.
arrested and detained for expressing my First
You have the
Amendment
key?
right in a public building.
Back up, please, sir.
No, thank you.
We're
For what?
closed.
No, you're not.
Back up.
No, you're not.
We're not playing this. I'm
No,
not playing this
I-
with you. Back up, sir.
No,
You
please-
can't put your
please
foot
do
there.
not-
You
please do
cannot
not
put
I mean, could you imagine having a tyrant like this in government? Could you imagine electing someone, a politician, that would put somebody like this in power, that thinks that your unalienable rights are just a whimsical thing for them to play with, because now they have the power. They have the power over life and death.
Put your foot there to restrict
Dude, congratulations. You just earned the state of South Carolina a humongous lawsuit.
Sir,
Humongous.
please.
You guys see this. I have to fight this man right now.
You want
I
to
would
come in
suggest
here
to
and
you
make
that you just let me walk by.
No,
and do
I
my
don't
business
suggest
and you go
anything.
about your day.
Okay?
Okay.
Does she have the no, sir. Please exit the building.
Or what?
You're trespassing.
No, I'm not.
Okay? Please leave, sir.
No, thank you. He's gonna love it.
Sir, do not step in.
Look at this. Ow. Ow.
Sir, do not
ow,
step
you're
in,
hurting
please.
Me. Ow.
No one is hurting you. If you don't mind, please exit the building.
And again, we'll go for the circular conversation. No, thank you.
Okay.
Let's
You want a
do it again,
lawsuit?
boys.
Get a lawsuit.
Hey, I'm going to give you a personal thank you. You just became my new best friend. I didn't know you that well before, but now you really are. And not in jest. You are my new personal best friend. So why am I not going to the
Have a seat.
county? No, I'm good.
Have a seat, please.
No, thank you. And I'm actually not going in here because there are no cameras in here.
There's a body camera right here.
I don't care. I don't
Okay.
trust you or your.
Okay, that's fine.
body camera.
Amen. You want to sit back here?
It's not going to be fine for you.
That's fine.
Say goodbye to your qualified immunity.
Yep.
That's fine as well.
Am I free to go?
No,
No,
you're not.
I'm not. How come? Oh,
For trespassing.
On what?
Trespassing on public
Trespassing?
property.
Trespassing. That's
Okay.
right. I've asked you to leave several times. You would not
Why
leave.
did you ask me
Okay?
to leave?
He
Are you
asked
just going
him.
to continue to make this worse for you in the state of South Carolina?
Who are you? What is your purpose?
You can call me good citizen.
Yeah!
I'm just going to sit here as long as you want me to sit here.
That's fine.
So are you gonna legally or illegally seize my phone right now, or can I have that?
No, you can have your phone.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
There you go.
That's sad that you do not know your own laws as a chief.
Uh-huh.
You are my friend. You're dismissed as well.
Yeah.
I'll walk away now.
1 second.
Excuse me. Don't stop touching me.
Gotcha.
Stop touching
Okay.
me right
Well, I'd undetain him and we'll go.
Oh, there we
Undetain him.
go. Oh, undetained. Illegally detained. And look at that. The backpedaling went so far as the cuffs go.
That's right. I explained.
So let me explain something to you guys. First of all, that was not a detention. That was an illegal arrest. That's what that was. And it was also accompanied by a battery. Now, one of my guests, Mias, says that he bothers a lot of people. And that's the whole point, guys, is that you have the right to engage in government accountability operations. And if a government official gets angry or upset because you talk to them the way they don't want to be talked to or whatever, they should find another job. Because you could have a crazy uncle or a crazy aunt or a son or a daughter who might have Tourette's, who might have some kind of an emotional condition, psychological issues, who just, they like to cuss, swear, and be loud. And that should never be a justification for anyone to put their hands on them or hurt them. So yes, these officers need to be able to deal with the dredges of society. That's why we have to make sure that we hold them accountable and engage in these government accountability operations and do these audits. That's why it's so important, guys, to make sure that your tax dollars aren't being flushed down the toilet to pay for some scumbag like this cop right here who needs to take a literacy course as well as a policing course. Let's keep going.
Explained to him that he was trespassing. I no longer wanted him recording into this office.
You are in so much trouble, and I love it.
And that's what he was doing. He was using the phone pretty much where there was business. And I'm like, dude, you about to go to jail. Or what the case may be. And you can hear him. Hey, you cannot curse in this building.
I can say whatever the I want to you. I can say whatever the to you.
All right, I'm going to detain him, Judge.
There we go.
He's arrested.
30 times the charm.
All right,
I'm going to
this is
detain
a
him,
building You
Judge.
cannot curse.
No, I can't.
It's disorderly conduct.
So here's another thing. So we have a law enforcement officer calling a judge engaging in an ex-party communication with a potential criminal defendant. Okay, it's one thing to go to a judge and ask for a warrant, but to call him on his personal phone and try to get the judge to participate in an unlawful arrest, that's an entirely other thing. And I don't even know that the judge would be able to keep his immunity in this case, because I don't think there is judicial immunity in a case like this. This was clearly an unlawful, illegal arrest. If the judge told this guy that he's not allowed to cuss or whatever, that's clearly a violation of the law. So it looks like the chief as well as the judge might be in some hot water here. So give me a bunch of ones if you agree. I don't know the full outcome. Let's watch it and see what happens.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Chief Middleton once again places Mr. Medallia under arrest, claiming that he committed disorderly conduct by cursing. According to the state public disorderly conduct statute, which is found in section 16-17-530 of the South Carolina Code, quote, a person who uses obscene or profane language on any highway or at any public place or gathering or in hearing distance of any schoolhouse or church is guilty of a misdemeanor. However, as the Supreme Court held in the landmark 1971 case of Cohen versus California, the simple use of profanity is protected by the First Amendment and therefore cannot be criminalized. Accordingly, as the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals explained in the 2016 case of Johnson versus Quattlebaum, South Carolina courts have construed the statute to require the use of so-called fighting words to sustain a conviction. As the Court of Appeals of South Carolina explained in the 2002 case of City of Landrum versus Surratt, quote, fighting words is defined as words that by their very utterance inflict injury or tend to incite an immediate breach of the peace. Fighting words must be inherently likely to induce the ordinary person to react violently. The fact that words are vulgar or offensive is not alone sufficient to classify them as fighting words, thereby removing them from the protection provided by the First.
And that's a good question, Donna Walter. I think what Donna's asking is, the guy who made this, the audit guy, clearly he must have a dad who's a lawyer, right? Because he sounds like a lawyer. I mean, these videos are so well produced. I got to tell you, man, if I wouldn't mind having a guy like this working for my firm. This would be somebody who could probably do a trial right now and win without any legal training. Let's keep going.
First Amendment. Accordingly, in the 2003 case of In the Interest of Jeremiah W., the Court of Appeals of South Carolina stated that, quote, it is well settled that the use of profanity alone does not constitute fighting words. Likewise, in the 2000 case of State versus Pittman, the same court determined that.
But guess what fighting words are? Matthew Howell says telling someone not to cuss is fighting words. And I got to tell you, being a former Marine, I can't agree more. Sometimes you just got to cuss, man. You know, you freaking doggone, you just got to do it. And if you tell me I can't cuss, yeah, that's fighting words. I'll tell you that right now.
That a disorderly conduct conviction, quote, requires more than profanity or loud and boisterous behavior directed at the officers. As Mr. Medaglia simply used profanity at a regular volume of speech and did not direct any personal insults at anyone, his speech inarguably did not rise to the level of fighting words, and therefore a court would almost certainly determine that he could not be lawfully arrested for disorderly conduct.
2 different cases now. First Amendment. So are you gonna illegally?
Yeah,
You're gonna illegally seize my phone again.
No, I'm not
Again.
illegally seizing anything. All right.
I'm kind of disappointed, man. I had so much respect for you. It's not gone. I love you right now, actually. I'm so happy.
Have a seat, please, sir.
I feel threatened right now. I don't really feel like listening. How? So none of these are lawful orders.
That's true.
I'm not going to listen.
So you're under arrest for disorderly conduct. For disorderly conduct.
Use force if you'd like. Let's try to.
No, I'm not going to use force.
No, I know you're not.
So if you don't mind, please have a seat in the car.
Again, I do. I want that FOIA request.
You will get a FOIA request. You will get the video, okay?
Thank you. Appreciate that. Here, buddy.
Okay, man. Have a seat.
No. Use force and put me in there.
I'm not going to use force to put you in there.
So. That's why I'm going to stand right here.
After placing Mr. Medaglia under arrest, Chief Middleton tells him to get in the back seat of the vehicle, and Mr. Medaglia refuses, claiming that the order is not lawful. Under Section 16-9-320A of the South Carolina Code, quote,
look, I got the sound up all the way, guys. The problem is the body cam comes in kind of low, but what he's saying is use force. I'm not going to comply because this is an unlawful arrest. And guess what? He's got the absolute right to do that. You have the right to resist an unlawful arrest. The problem is typically 12 people are going to be carrying you into a hole in the ground if you exercise that right. So be very careful when you exercise your right to resist an unlawful arrest.
It is unlawful for a person knowingly and willfully to resist an arrest being made by one whom the person knows or reasonably should know is a law enforcement officer. As Section B of this statute criminalizes assaulting, beating, or wounding a law enforcement officer while resisting arrest, Section A is often referred to as resisting arrest without violence. Accordingly, a court would likely find that an act of willful noncompliance and ignoring an officer's directive during an arrest could constitute a violation of this statute. However, it is highly probable that a court would conclude that Mr. Medaglia could not be convicted of resistance for refusing Chief Middleton's orders, as the underlying arrest was likely unlawful. Although many states allow for individuals to be convicted of resisting without regard to the legality of an underlying arrest, South Carolina law recognizes the right to resist an unlawful arrest with proportional force.
That's right.
As the Supreme Court of South Carolina explained in the 1929 case of State versus Francis, quote, an unlawful arrest, or an attempt to make an unlawful arrest, stands upon the same footing as any other non-felonious assault, or as a common assault and battery. The person who is so unlawfully arrested, or against whom such an unlawful attempt is directed, is not bound to yield, and may resist force with force, but he is not authorized to go beyond the line of force proportioned to the character of the assault, or he in turn becomes a wrongdoer.
That's right. And so basically this statute mirrors the law of self-defense. You're not allowed to defend yourself with any greater force than the force that's being met against you. Well, of course, if you feel that your life is being threatened, then you have the right to life for a life. That's the way it works. So let's keep going. Let's keep watching this bad chicken.
and other precedent, the Supreme Court of South Carolina affirmed the right to resist in the 2001 case of State versus McGowan, holding that, quote, a person may not be convicted of resisting arrest where the underlying arrest is unlawful. Accordingly, as long as a court agreed that Mr. Medalia's arrest for disorderly conduct was illegal, it is highly likely that Mr. Medalia could not be convicted of resisting arrest for his entirely non-violent refusal to get in the vehicle.
This is ridiculous.
You know you are in so much deep shit right now, dude. This is why you've backpedaled time and time and time again.
That's
and
right.
it's all on camera.
You cannot cuss. You cannot cuss.
That's unfortunate. It's already cost so many states so much money, and you're just adding to it, man.
Okay, that's
You're
fine.
just adding to it.
Okay. Sir, you're under arrest for disorderly conduct.
At least the phone is still recording. There we go.
You're under arrest for disorderly conduct, so please have a seat in the
Okay,
video.
put me in the car then.
I'm not going to use force
I
to put
did
you in the
not
car.
think so. Once again,
Okay.
circular conversation.
You are
all day.
a grown man.
Yes.
You can get
I'm
in
a
this
grown
car.
man that's making my
Okay.
own decisions.
Amen.
That's
I'm not
you
gonna
are.
get in this car unless I'm forced in there.
Okay.
So
Amen. I'm a grown man that's making my own decisions. Look, he may come off like a jerk, but guess what, guys? You need to be testing your government. One of the primary reasons for the First Amendment, besides freedom of religion, not having the government force their state religion on you, like California is doing to all the school kids, forcing their Luciferian religion on kids. You also have another part of the First Amendment that's equally as powerful, and it was to hold public officials accountable. Holding public officials accountable was the main, in my opinion, reason behind the First Amendment. Number one, allowing us to have freedom of religion. And number two, to make sure that our government didn't do things like King George was doing, like this coffee police chief was just doing, right? Let's keep watching.
why don't you do it? If
I'm
you
not going to force you to get in.
Again, circular conversation. Didn't think so. I suggest you just take the cuffs off now, and you walk away and go about your day. Because you're already to begin with. You know
what's
this.
messed up is you're here provoking things.
No, I did not say a word to you. You came up to me.
That's right.
And caused a problem.
I got a call
You're
about you up
asking
there
the public,
recording.
Am I in restricted areas?
You're
You don't even
recording
know
in
your
that
own laws
restricted
that you're
area.
here to enforce.
Okay.
So this is really interesting because basically this officer, I get lucky for the auditor that the officer probably has an IQ of a little bit less than 90. He's saying you was in there recording. You was in there recording. So basically his reason for this arrest was because he was recording. And then he's backpedaling and saying, but it was a restricted area, but it wasn't a restricted area. And there were no posted signs saying that it was a restricted area. It was a publicly accessible, publicly used area. And the officer is just a power tripper. And, he probably is embarrassed that he doesn't know how to speak proper English. So, he's upset.
It's a sad day for New Orleans.
Okay, sir.
A sad day for the state of South Carolina, man. But a happy day for me. You're going to bring a lot of publicity to this town now.
That's fine.
So be prepared for your face to be on the map everywhere.
After the arrest, Mr. Medalia was charged with public disorderly conduct and taken to the Aiken County Detention Center before being released. The current status of this charge is unknown, but during an update that Mr. Medalia live streamed on his YouTube channel, he indicated that he would be filing a civil lawsuit. Mr. Medalia also filmed himself filing a complaint at City Hall and shared it on his YouTube channel. On September 29th, 2023, just a week after Mr. Medalia's arrest, Chief Middleton resigned from the New Ellington Police Department amid a state law enforcement division investigation into several alleged domestic incidents between Chief Middleton and his wife. It is unclear
So we know that law enforcement has like a much higher incidence of beating their wives. In fact, one of the very first battles over public records requests in Nevada was about there was basically a law passed that allowed a civilian commission to sort of circumvent internal affairs, because internal affairs basically gives a pass to everybody, right? So a Nevada Highway Patrol officer had been investigated for trying to hire an undercover informant officer to murder his wife because he was going through a divorce with her. And so the Nevada Police Department that was in charge of this investigation, the IA, they tried to bury the data for like 2 years, claiming there was an active investigation, even though they knew the investigation had been over for like 2 years, right? And so you'll typically find with these power tripper guys like this, that they have a record of doing the same types of things. The problem is their departments cover for them. Just like, when politicians take bribes from the cartels in Arizona, or, they take gold bars from the communist Chinese, because of our wide open border. Now they can just come across, pay off all the American politicians and the guys who run the schools, the professors, with their gold bars and silver bars. They can control these people. And if they have no value system, if they have no moral compass, they'll take the money and they'll sell you out to your enemies. And that's happening all over the country. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree.
Whether Mr. Medalia's arrest is also being investigated or played a role in Chief Middleton's resignation. Overall, Chief Middleton gets an F for exhibiting an alarming lack of knowledge regarding the protections the First Amendment grants to both filming and profanity, demonstrating substantial misunderstandings about state criminal laws, and illegally arresting Mr. Medalia 3 different times throughout the encounter. Even if Mr. Medalia had not been engaged in protected First Amendment activity, South Carolina's trespassing statutes clearly did not criminalize his refusal to leave a public building during the hours it was held open to the public. Likewise, the application of the state disorderly conduct statute to Mr. Medalia's use of profanity was plainly unconstitutional, as established by the Supreme Court back in 1971 and multiple state courts since then. I am unsure whether Chief Middleton was uninformed about the proper applications of the trespassing and disorderly conduct statutes, or simply did not care about the legality of his actions.
He's just a functional illiterate. He doesn't even know how to talk. So how would he know how to even read a penal code statute or case law?
But either way, the result of his conduct was multiple unlawful arrests and likely violations of Mr. Medalia's First and Fourth Amendment rights. Mr. Medalia gets an A because, although he at times was unnecessarily antagonistic in his speech toward Chief Middleton, he remained within his rights throughout the encounter, demonstrated a solid understanding of the protections granted to him by the First Amendment, and took proper recourse after the incident by filing a complaint and pursuing legal action. I commend Mr. Medalia for the efforts he made to ensure that he did not exceed the scope of his constitutional rights during the audit by entering through the public entrance to the City Hall portion of the building rather than the restricted entrance for the police department, checking the building's hours before entering to confirm that the building was currently open to the public, and remaining within the public lobby for the City Hall portion of the building. Additionally, while I typically do not suggest that citizens resist an officer's attempts to place them under arrest, in this rare instance, considering South Carolina's recognition of the right to proportionally resist an illegal arrest, and the fact that Mr. Medalia's arrest was so clearly unconstitutional, I cannot criticize Mr. Medalia for his purely non-violent non-compliance. However, viewers should keep in mind that in order for an arrest to pass constitutional muster, an officer must only have probable cause to believe that an individual has committed an offense, and the fact that the citizen is innocent does not necessarily make the arrest unlawful. Likewise, in many states, an individual can still be convicted for resisting if the underlying arrest is unlawful, so it's generally much more advisable to comply.
Yeah, and that might be true, but guess what, guys? If it's unconstitutional, you can't there's no way you'll ever convince me that an officer using an unlawful arrest can't be met with enough force to prevent that unlawful arrest as a matter of law. I'm not suggesting that you do it because you'll just end up getting shot and they'll file a false report and end up getting off at some point, unless Chili DeCastro happens to be there filming. Otherwise, I don't really see a lot of luck for you guys. So let me see here. I've got another one here, another cool one. This is about a deputy police chief who was reappointed. So let's have some fun with this one. This is going to be great. So you fire your cop, right? And then you go ahead and reappoint him. In the last video, that dude's probably working as a beat cop in Bakersfield, California, right? Because that's what they do. They just recycle the bad cops. And that's something that Chili DeCastro wants to end when he becomes governor. So something for you to think about. That's right, Blue Balls. Chili DeCastro did go to jail. And you made a good point. Chili DeCastro went to jail for what he believed in, and ultimately he was exonerated, and he got the crime scene tape dismissed, the case dismissed as well. And you notice how all the fraud guys and all the people that hate him that didn't even have a YouTube channel until he came into fruition, they basically have been shut down. They're just they're self-imploding because their whole existence is based upon hating Chili, irrespective of whether or not he's innocent or guilty. These are the same types of people that would have been involved in France during the revolution. They would have sided with Robespierre, the Great Terror, where he was going around France with the guillotines and chopping off people's heads if they didn't agree with the government. And we see a new iteration of that happening before our very eyes now with the far radicalized groups of politicians and the flag burners trying to say that anything they disagree with is hate speech, and even trying to get schools and governments like over in the UK to prevent you from exercising free speech, especially if it's critical of their murderous immigration policies where they're importing military-aged males into their countries from other countries that are taught since birth to hate the West. And then they come in there and they don't assimilate. Instead, they try to have their way with the local women. And when the locals talk about it, they get thrown in prison. That's what's happening in the United Kingdom. So if you don't want that for your country, you will support the auditor community and you will support these government accountability operations. It's that simple. It's that simple. And let's keep watching.
We are following some breaking news out of suburban Dalton.
And this comes just days after the trustees terminated the deputy police chief. Now the mayor of the village, Tiffany Henyard, has appointed him to a new position. NBC5's Regina Waldrop has reaction on today's announcement.
Good evening. An illegal appointment. That's what the trustees I talked to are calling this. They say the news took them by surprise. And now they're talking to legal counsel to figure out their next steps. Now, it was last Monday that Deputy Dalton Police Chief Louis Lacey was put on administrative leave by the Dalton Village Board. Trustees say he returned to work the next day and was later fired for insubordination. Then today, trustees say they got word that Mayor Tiffany Henyard has now appointed Lacey as police chief without trustees voting on this appointment. And they say Lacey has also not been sworn in to the position. Now, Lacey was in court a short time ago. He was arraigned on federal bankruptcy fraud charges. It's alleged that he lied under oath in a scheme to hide assets and income from creditors to avoid paying more than $40,000 in a lawsuit settlement.
Well, Mr. Lacey is absolutely not guilty of all 9 counts. I believe he's cooperating. And if you cooperate, you have to admit your guilt first.
And happening here tonight in South Holland, a special meeting called by the Thornton Township Board of Trustees. They have a number of items on the agenda looking to curtail spending that they say is being done by Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who is also township supervisor. We should also mention that the township is now into its new fiscal year and still without a budget.
So anyways, I don't know if you guys recognize that cop. You might want to let me know if you do. But it's amazing how they always get rehired, right? So this next one is about a Georgia police officer who gets in a heated fight with a neighboring town's officer. And I think this is another view of one we saw earlier, but let's check it out. These are so fun to watch.
Say hello. Was that illegal?
No, no, sir. The reason why we're stopping you is because it's a wind attempt violation.
I blinked my blue lights at you to let you know who I was.
Yes, sir. Well, we didn't know with it, that's not a government tag.
That is a unofficial tag. Okay. That tag's not even on file.
I said, yeah. Well, we have to catch up the bill to run it and everything like that, sir. So
I won't blink my blue lights at you next time. I'll let you just sit there. I was just speaking. I'm the police chief in Zebra.
Well, nice to meet you, sir.
Matt Polk worked for me. Your chief worked for me.
Yes, sir. There's no need to get upset.
I'm upset because I spoke to you when I come by, and now you're pulling me
Sir,
over.
I've never met you a day in my life.
I understand that.
Why are you being hostile?
Easy. I don't have to talk to you.
Okay.
I'm not talking to you.
Why are you being hostile right now?
Are y'all gonna write me a ticket? Are you gonna write me a ticket?
Sir, we're just trying.
I'm the police chief of Zebra. You gonna write me a ticket?
Why are you coming up to me like that? I'm doing my job, right?
What are you stopping for?
I'm stopping you for one. You're going to start
I have
flashing
blue lights in my car.
Okay, you know how many officers have blue lights?
Are you writing me a ticket? Yes or no?
I'm conducting my investigation.
Are you writing me a ticket? I'm fixing to leave.
Do you have your driver's license?
Sure, I have my driver's license. I'm fixing to make it a whole lot more. Your boss works.
11:11. I'm out here with Illinois.
This is classic.
Like anybody else.
Like a 2001 Dodge Ram truck, black color, to Machine Construction Company out of Losersville. Registration showing expired, valid insurance, negative 99.
Just
Yeah, I think so,
Bravo,
Mia.
Frank Mike 1175 BFM 1175. Yeah, sir. As I was explaining.
I don't want anything from you.
Okay.
You let her do her job.
28 returns to a 2001 Dodge Ram truck, black color, to Machine Construction Company out of Losersville.
It doesn't come back to that vehicle.
Valid insurance, negative 99.
And he puts his lights on too. Show of force. That's true blue balls. They can't stand anybody.
No vehicle found, negative 99.
This is just wild, man. Right, and that's the point. He's not getting extra special treatment. He doesn't like it. So who said that? That was good. So Tim Reed says he's not getting extra special treatment. Now, I saw a video earlier this morning. I couldn't find it to show you, but there's this, I guess, a chief of police who keeps getting pulled over by like the same cop. And the same cop's like, Chief, you really need to slow down. And the chief's like, shh, get out of here. Just go away. Okay, Chief, but you're really setting a bad example. And it's like, dude, are you freaking kidding me? Like, really? I mean, think about that, guys. Think about how ridiculous. What's good is for thee is not good for me. It just doesn't make any sense. Let's keep going. Exactly. How is he allowed to walk back to his car?
Make sure you're recording.
Yeah. What?
She's about bringing your driver's license back up.
That's fine.
Yeah. First, when we ran the tag, it came back to like a Dodge Ram, so we're just confirming it's not. Yes, sir.
It's a ghost tag.
Yes, sir. We'll make sure.
Yes,
Ghost tag. It's a ghost tag.
Run it wrong. You must have run it wrong because you want to.
You run it wrong. It's a ghost tag. It's like a ghost gun. You take an AR lower and you don't put no numbers on it, and some people call it a sling tag. Other people call it a Kaiser tag. Some people call it a sling tag, and other people they call it a Kaiser tag. Yeah, some people call it a bad cop, and other people call it preferential treatment.
Come back to a Dodge Ram.
We were confirmed it. They let us know everything.
So it's still coming back to a Dodge Ram now?
Sir, can I ask why you're so upset?
Is it still coming back to a Dodge Ram
No,
now?
we got it fixed. Why are you so upset?
No, you didn't fix it. Is it still coming back to a Dodge Ram right now?
No, it came back 9 on 5.
That's right, because you run it wrong.
Sir.
Somebody run it wrong. Either you did or they did.
We're about to get the information.
Okay, I got your chief on the phone right now. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Can you calm down for us, please?
I appreciate your service. I appreciate your service.
What a dick.
I'm just saying, I spoke to you guys. I didn't have to do that. I could have eased on by y'all. I appreciate the job y'all out here doing.
Chief,
I
I'm trying to be
spoke y'all.
respectful with you.
I understand
okay?
that. I understand.
I'm not raising my voice or nothing at you,
that.
right?
I understand.
All
that.
right, let's.
But I'm trying to tell you, the only thing I done wrong was spoke. Y'all never would have pulled me over if I hadn't flicked my blue lights.
No, sir. No.
All right, so let me just share something with you. Like, me personally, ridiculous that you can't have tint on your windows, right? Officer safety. That's why the legislature passes those laws. But like Chili DeCastro says, we shouldn't be pulling people over to begin with for things like tint on the windows. That leads to people getting shot. Why not just mail them a ticket and give them a fix-it ticket? Give me a bunch of ones if you agree there's less lethal means of enforcing traffic laws than the job creation going on by these municipal corporations. Most people don't understand that the cities can lease the sheriff's department, but they don't. Why? Because part of their budget planning is they're not allowed to make a profit, but they certainly, when they decide to build a police department, how much money they're going to generate in revenue is the 99.99% of what their studies are about. Traffic studies to see how much money they can generate and create this, police force and a bunch of government employees. And then of course a police union, right? Because that police union now is a big cash cow for all the politicians who are pro-government, right? So the far left usually gets that, right? So they'll get like all the unions get 99% of union dues, I think, go to the left. I think even the police unions, like, they don't even donate all their money to right wing. A lot of it goes to the left. It's kind of weird. I don't understand it, but I'm just being real with you about the statistics. All these government jobs are doing is creating a big cash cow, like the Service Employees International Union. And then they have political power, right? With your tax dollars, these are the same people that elect politicians that want to take away your First Amendment rights, that want to abolish Twitter and censor everything that you say and force your kids to go to a school where they can't record the teachers because the teachers are doing things that are going against your rights as parents. Think about that. Let's keep going.
No, we were going to pull you actually. And, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm telling you straight up, okay?
Okay. All right.
But like I said, there's people out here impersonating police officer with blue lights.
Or you throw
and
my
we've dealt
or
with
she
them
threw
before.
my license if she is getting them for me.
She'll bring it to you, sir.
Okay, well that's fine.
I'm just
Bring it
trying
to
to.
me, get through.
I'm trying to talk with you.
I don't want to talk anymore about it.
All righty. That's very unprofessional.
Unbelievable. Have a better night.
Whole time.
That was pretty wild. I don't know, man. That kind of stuff really gets my goat. Just seeing how these guys behave and just so unprofessional, and they just get away with anything. They're just rarely held accountable until an auditor gets caught up with them, maybe gets falsely arrested, and then maybe something happens, right? Let's keep going.
Joining us tonight, first up here at 6 o'clock, Tampa's top cop is out. Just 10 months after getting picked for the job, Mayor Jane Castor today asked for and received Police Chief Mary O'Connor's resignation. This comes after video showed her asking for special treatment during a traffic stop. She and her husband were pulled over for not having a license plate on their golf cart. O'Connor pulled out her badge and told a Pinellas County deputy she was Tampa's chief of police. Fox 13's Evan Axelbank now takes a look at what comes next.
That's right, Reverend Run Goat.
The mayor said today that she has no regrets over her selection of Mary O'Connor to be the police chief, even though her record as an officer was not spotless. The city is about to go through its second national search for a police chief in just 2 years.
The mayor sat for a one-on-one interview a few hours after accepting the resignation of Police Chief Mary O'Connor over abusing her badge.
I'm the police chief in Tampa.
Oh, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Okay.
I'm hoping that you'll just let us go tonight.
I don't know if betrayal is the word, but disappointment.
She gave O'Connor a second chance after a contentious selection process that highlighted, yes, O'Connor's leadership skills, but also an arrest from 1995, after which the rookie cop was fired and reinstated for battering an officer during a traffic stop.
I think that she was a good choice, and I provide those second chances. You can never know what decisions individuals are going to make down the road.
What the real truth is behind all these guys is they all have dirty hands and they all know where the bodies are buried. And so the political class protects their own. And if you disagree with that, then you're a special kind of stupid. Here we go.
And clearly she made a very poor decision.
The former chief now agrees as such, saying in her resignation letter that she resigned with great sadness and that she would never want her personal mistake to stand in the way of the progress she's made in mending relationships between the department and the community. An internal affairs review completed in a matter of 4 days found the chief violated standard of conduct and abused her position. In the report, she said she identified herself in the name of officer safety and that this
You ever need anything, call me.
okay,
Serious.
all right, was not intended to offer preferential treatment. The mayor says they'll look nationwide for a new chief, as they did last year.
We will ensure that the community is involved, that city council, that everyone.
How much you want to bet they'll find some recirculated, recycled police chief like the guy that was throwing the dude wanted to throw the dude in the back of his squad car who refused. How much you want to bet that's what they're going to end up with?
Has the ability to meet the candidates as we did before.
New interim chief Lee Burkhaw sat with the mayor during today's interview and indicated he would be interested in the top job. But his current focus is providing leadership.
Officers know their integrity and ethics, and what happened here is a constant reminder of the professionals and ethics that they have to maintain.
The former chief has also apologized for putting that Pinellas deputy in a difficult position. She also says that she is going to take some time to reflect before pursuing any additional endeavors. In Tampa, Evan Axelbank, Fox 13 News.
So check this out. We have Daniel Kemmeling says Mayor Castor was the chief of police before she was mayor. And so there you go, guys. That's why the so-called second chance. So they're buddies, and the political class looks down on people like us. They have big money from like BlackRock, George Soros, and they have unlimited supplies of money. And now, especially with the open border, we know that the communist Chinese like to bring in gold bars to pay off all their politicians. We know that Menendez in Arizona just got busted for that, found with a bunch of gold bars. And he, of course, was acquitted by, I believe it was a Soros prosecutor prior to that, right? For doing the same kind of stuff. And this prosecutor got, anyways, there's a whole story that we'll go into on another video, guys, but it's unbelievable what's going on. And this is just part of that whole good old boy club, the Red Shoe Club, right? Get everybody dirty, take them out to Epstein Island, get them all on film, banging little kids, and then have the FBI come and get that film. And now they can, technically, the FBI can blackmail every billionaire in the country and get unlimited supplies of political campaign funding for life, which is exactly what Hoover was doing, basically, when he set the FBI up, blackmailing all the politicians so he could stay into power. So we have another really cool video here. This is about a home surveillance camera showing a cop who lies on a report. And although this guy's not a sheriff, I just wanted to show it because these are like my cool videos that I found. And I really think this is a good one. And it's not too long. It's only like 5 minutes. So we'll keep on booming it.
A man who could have been sent to prison for years based on claims in a police report was saved by a home surveillance camera. The footage showed he did not attack an officer as claimed in the report. ITV investigator Adam Walser spoke to the Lake Wales man and hears from local leaders who say it's not the first time they've heard complaints about heavy-handed policing in their small town.
I stopped at a stop sign right here on 3rd Street, and I noticed the officer behind me way before I even stopped.
Chris Cordero was driving to Publix February 8th to pick up medicine for his young son when Lake Wales police officer Colt Black pulled him over. Unbeknownst to the officer, a camera across the street captured it all.
I get out the vehicle to ask him what's going on because, he's been following me for a while.
Cordero stands by his car for more than 20 seconds, but Officer Black's report says Cordero immediately exited the driver door and began to charge towards my patrol vehicle. It says right here in this report, this officer filed in the court that you came at him with clenched fists.
That's absolutely not true.
Officer Black approaches Cordero 30 seconds later.
He sucker punched me from the back right here, cracked a piece of my tooth out. I landed on the ground.
Moments later, Officer Travis Worley arrives. It's hard to see exactly what happens next, but you can make out a struggle behind the car.
They both jumped on me and beat me up really bad.
In the report, Officer Black says he delivered an elbow strike to the left side of Cordero's head because he thought he was reaching for a weapon. In the complaint Cordero filed, he said Worley used a racist slur.
I've never heard that terminology in my life.
Cordero was charged with resisting arrest, assault on a law enforcement officer, and making a death threat to a law enforcement officer. When he bonded out of jail the next day, he went door to door in the neighborhood until he found the footage. After Cordero shared the footage with police, Officer Black wrote in another report, "I believe my perception was altered due to the high stress of the incident."
When I told Mr. Cordero that I believed him, he broke down in tears.
Attorney Sarah Jones provided the video to the state's attorney's office, which immediately dropped the charges. Jones says she's heard multiple complaints from clients about Lake Wales police officers using heavy-handed tactics.
These officers who have issues with power and control
Absolutely
target people who they know won't be believed.
Absolutely.
Do you feel like that?
And one of my guests earlier in the sidebar pointed out that gaining control, gaining authority over people gaining domination excites the pleasure centers of your brain. So there's something to it. That's why people who have fetishes like domination, submission, there's a pleasure center that gets activated. This is scientific, guys. This is real stuff going on.
That the leadership at that police department realize that there are potentially some bad apples on the force.
If I'm to answer you honestly, yes. They know. How can they not? When I stood at the city commission podium, when I stood and I talked to them and said, I'll tell you, I'll show you, come talk to me. I'll let you know who they are and what they're doing, and I'll help you build the cases against them.
We requested an interview with the police chief, but he declined, citing an ongoing internal investigation. In an emailed statement, the department confirmed that Colt Black resigned effective February 10th, and that Travis Worley had been placed on administrative station duty. The I-team has uncovered both officers have been previously investigated. 2 complaints against Black were investigated and closed without any action taken because the investigator found he did not violate policy. Black was disciplined in 2018 for an unauthorized vehicle pursuit. Worley, named Officer of the Year in 2019 and past president of the Lake Wales Police Officers Association, has been the subject of 4 citizen complaints and 2 internal investigations, including 2 allegations he used racial slurs. The president of the Police Benevolent Association said Worley was cleared in both instances.
Of course.
In this complaint, the Lake Wales High School principal emailed the police chief about Worley, alleging he used a racial slur in front of students, saying, quite simply, he is not the same caliber as the other officers I know are, not even close. The complaint was investigated by the deputy chief, but no wrongdoing was substantiated.
Nothing happened.
Worley was also the subject of an internal investigation after an African-American female officer accused him of using a racial slur while on a call. The report says investigators were unable to prove if a racial slur was used by Officer Worley, but investigators found evidence Worley used multiple profane words while in a heated argument. He was suspended for 8 hours without pay in 2020. Worley defended himself, writing, "More than ample opportunities were given for someone to provide evidence of me being racist with negative results." City Commissioner.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to figure out, like, hold on a minute, guys. Like, where the hell is this body cam? Isn't there like body cam footage that could corroborate this stuff? Don't they say that if you get in an altercation with police, you know, when they're beating the shit out of you, that you can just order a copy of the web thing and, you know, the body cam, and that's going to solve all the problems. And then, of course, you know, me as a lawyer, when I get the footage back, I find that sections of it are missing, or they're taped over, or just screwed up, or the camera's obscured with someone's hand, or the body's turned this way when they're punching someone this way. You know, I mean, that's why you always film everything when you have any kind of confrontation or interaction with law enforcement. You must always film everything, because this happens all the time. Okay. I'm a victim of a false arrest many years ago before they used body cams, but I had witnesses who testified against this guy, and I ended up suing him for $30,001 and then ultimately became an attorney. So think about that. So one of the upsides is when the government screws with you and tries to destroy your life, or one of their agents does that, some people like me, especially people who served in the Marine Corps, you know what? We're going to put on our body armor of law, and we're going to go to war and fight back against these scumbags. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree that I made the right choice. Now let's go ahead and finish this bad chicken for you guys.
Terry Howell says she was troubled by what happened at Cordero and by recent complaints from others.
All police are not trying to intimidate people. That's not the case. But when you have 1 or 2 bad apples, and then they're spilling that bad apple part to other officers, then that bus starts going.
Howell made a proposal for police body cameras more than a year ago, but it failed to gain traction. But just days after Cordero's arrest, a body cam program was on the commission agenda again.
A home video was able to capture something that occurred. I do believe that the cams are needed.
We've got police that's supposed to protect and serve. They are actually the ones that are doing the harm.
People have been scared to speak about it.
Putting lives before money, that's what I'm thinking about right now.
Yeah. Amen.
The program passed by a unanimous vote, making Lake Wales the first city in Polk County to adopt body cams. Chris Cordero wishes it happened sooner.
How many more innocent people are sitting in jail? How many people in the community are scared to come forward about these offices?
I'm I-team investigator Adam Walser, taking action for you.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Matthew Howell. That I never like hearing that. So Matthew says his brother was a Marine, and I guess he offed himself a few years ago because apparently he'd killed a kid. And I don't know if that was something he'd done in combat or whatever. But even if it's an armed person, and if it's not a kid, taking someone's life is no joke, man. It's not something that anybody should take lightly. Ending a life that God brought into this world is something that you'll carry a heavy burden with for the rest of your life, regardless of whether or not the life that you took was a justifiable homicide or not. especially like Matthew Howell said about his brother. Unfortunate. It was unfortunate that he was somebody who had a conscience, you know. Semper Fi, by the way, brother. I'm sorry that happened to you. I hate hearing stories like that. You know, my dad was completely haunted from Vietnam, from the Vietnam police action, and the lie that we were told by our politicians about the Gulf of Tonkin that got us into that war. And my father ended up dying from leukemia, from Agent Orange. And a lot of his friends did, and many other ones ended up taking their own lives because of the horror that they faced. They could never get the war out of them. And that's another example of your own politicians lying to you. The Gulf of Tonkin was a lie. It never happened, guys. That's why we were in Vietnam. They still don't teach you this in the government-run schools. I mean, there's just unbelievable, so many things that are going on that you guys a lot of people don't know about. So this next video that we're going to get into has to do, by the way, the Gulf of Tonkin was the pretext. There's always a pretext that our government used to get us into the Vietnam police action. I believe it was 1965. Marines were the first ground troops in. And I think prior to that, it was there were Army Special Forces working in Laos and Cambodia. The French Foreign Legion was defeated at the Battle of Dien Bien Phu. And that led to the United States taking over their plantation, basically, in the South. So we can do something. Hey, Atomic, what's up, brother? Thanks, Michael, for what hey, you're welcome, guys. You know, I do try my best. I'll tell you guys, I do appreciate the super chats and the coffees and all that stuff that you guys do when you can afford it, because it gives me justification when my wife chews me out because I'm not working on cases, because, you know, I'm the sole provider. But I got to tell you, I got to have a life. You know, I've got to be able to be an advocate and to be somebody who's an activist, because that's my nature. My nature is a fighter. I'm a fighter and a patriot. So yeah, obviously one way to support me is, this is not the book that I'm selling right now. Okay. I'm not selling the soft cover book. This is a mock-up of my book. And one of the other ways you can support me is to purchase my book called My Journey to Becoming a Practicing Lawyer with No Law Degree or Undergrad. My Journey to Becoming a Practicing Lawyer with No Law Degree or Undergrad. And that is, I have a digital version of this. Thanks, Matthew. I appreciate that, brother. Super chat from Matthew, super sticker. Thank you, Matthew Howell. Semper Fi, do or die. And thanks for joining. Make sure to tell your friends to like and subscribe too, brother, and share this with all the Marines, because one thing I know for certain about the Marines is that we are definitely warriors for justice. We do not like it when people pick on other people. We hate bullies. We are the most disciplined. We have the most military bearing, and we also have the dirtiest mouths. I mean, we're animals, but at the same time, we're the same people that will put our dress blues across the freeway to help an old lady get across, you know, so she doesn't have to step in a puddle of water. So thank you very much for that, Matthew. Let's get back into this, because I'm starting to drift a little bit. I'm getting a little tired, guys. But let's get into it, because we're doing a marathon today, guys. Here we go. Police interrogation of a police chief.
Let me go grab some of the red. It's a little warm right here, but it's out there. It is. It feels better in here.
Now, this video is over an hour long, so I'm not going to do too much. I just wanted you to kind of get the gist of it. I'm going to drop the link in the sidebar as well. This is a good video.
Sorry, dude, I lost my cup somewhere. I think it's a generic cup. Hey, Joe, you know Ted?
Yeah, I think I've met him before.
Yeah, sure.
How's the office that day?
Yeah, I've met you in the past too. All right, Ted. All right. You don't want any water or anything? All right, Jimmy. These are your guarantee rights, okay? I can tell you're familiar with them, but if you want to read those over, and it's good for you. Let me know if you have any questions about anything.
So more than anything on this video, guys, what I wanted you to see is this guy knows he's up shit creek. He knows the program. He knows the routine. Then after that, look at what a disgusting, how out of shape he is. I mean, would you want somebody like this leading your law enforcement community? In the Marine Corps, we'd call him a diet private. So I just don't get it. But we're not going to have enough time for you to watch this whole bad chicken. So we're gonna watch something that's going to take a little bit less time. Let me see if I can. Let me see. I've got a bunch of cool stuff queued up over here. Now, you guys, I think you saw this one. I think you saw this one on Chili, but let's watch this guy, because this is somebody who was a former acting police chief who was charged with beating a man at Village Hall. So you guys remember this one from Chili to Castro? He did a really good show about this. Let's check it out.
Now to breaking news in South Suburban Robbins, where the former acting police chief is facing criminal charges. Our Andrew Ramos broke this story last month. 47-year-old Carl Scott was on duty last month when a man known as Tyrant Terminator Audits on social media walked into the police station to file a complaint against him related to an earlier incident. That is where the trouble started. A man whose real name is James walked into the police station and started recording with his cell phone. The encounter then turned. Scott is accused of calling two other officers to help. They were issuing a ticket for public nuisance. When they took James to be fingerprinted, the chief allegedly knocked the man's cell phone to the ground and hit him. He's also accused of shoving this man, and it escalated when they went into the interview room.
He took me in his room, slammed me down on like this little metal plate where you sit at, and he told the two officers to cut the cameras off. And they just started beating me.
He accuses Scott of repeatedly hitting him in the head while the two other officers watched. Court documents state that Scott dropped James's cell phone into a sewer outside the police station, where it was later recovered. If convicted, Scott faces up to 5 years in prison.
That's freaking unbelievable, man. I mean, the stuff that's going on.
Prescription drug abuse has become an epidemic.
One of my audience, David, saying, does your live have to be in this format? And it doesn't. But so here's what I do, guys. The vertical format appeals to the younger crowd. When I was doing horizontal and you look at my viewership, it was like 50 and up, like 90%. And that's cool. But all you guys that are 50 and up are already patriots and you're people who love your country. But this new generation, they're being brainwashed by academia to hate their country, to hate white males. It's just crazy, right? So I'm trying to show them that we're not the enemy. They're being brainwashed to think that patriots, people who love their country and who would die for their countrymen, are the enemy. When in reality, it's the exact opposite. And so what I'm trying to do is the vertical gives me an opportunity to reach the younger generation. And naturally, I do love your support and I want you to be here with me. I mean, Ralph Riley, one of my best friends, best viewers online, he hates these verticals and rarely comes in anymore. So it's kind of like it's a catch-22, because I know I'm missing out on a lot of my old audience that really supports my channel. But at the same time, guys, I'm not here to like make a bunch of money. I have a day job. I'm trying to be an activist and get the message out to the youth, because their minds are just forming and they're being completely destroyed by the time they get out of grade school to hate their country. It's just crazy. And so I think that if they get an opportunity to see that it's the great Leviathan that is the enemy and not we the people, and I think that we can show them that by offering them the vertical feed, because it's basically like YouTube's way to try to copy TikTok. But let's go ahead and check out this other video. It's about 13 minutes. And tell me if you guys are getting bored or whatever, because we can always cut it short as well. But I'll keep going for a little while. Check it out. This is a 60 minutes. It's only 13 minutes, but it's another corrupt cop sheriff, wild, wild, wild.
Epidemic in America. Few places have been hit harder than Kentucky. a state that's also been ravaged by addiction to crystal meth. In Whitley County, Kentucky, in the heart of Appalachia, matters were made worse when the man suspected of being at the center of the drug trade was the county's top law enforcement officer, Sheriff Lawrence Hodge. There had long been suspicions that Sheriff Hodge was dirty, but nobody, not even federal agents, could prove it. That's when two local journalists, both in their 20s, launched their own investigation. And they soon discovered poking into the affairs of a powerful county sheriff can be risky business.
Roblox, right. That's right.
The story will continue in a moment.
Yeah, these 60-minute, man, they used to be really good back in the day. I don't know what
you're 20
happened.
years old, you're taking a shower one day and getting ready for class, and you get a call from a federal agent because there's a credible threat against your life. Everything about it's just so surreal, you don't think a whole lot about it. Then later that night, you start thinking, you're like, geez, somebody wants to kill me. That's a little odd. And it's the sheriff. The sheriff wants to kill you.
This wasn't exactly how Adam Sulfridge had pictured a career in journalism. Adam was born and raised in Whitley County. In 2009, he was a sophomore at the local college, needed a job. The county's daily newspaper, the Times-Tribune, had an opening, and soon Adam had his first assignment, and dangerous enemies.
Why did you feel compelled to buy a gun?
You do have a credible threat against your life. And it seemed like a pretty reasonable thing to do. Samantha also purchased a gun at the same time.
Samantha Swindler, then 27, was managing editor of the Times-Tribune and Adam's boss.
We were reporting on people involved in the drug trade and people who are all hopped up on oxys. I don't know what they're going to do. I thought if something happened, I'd go down with a fight.
Samantha was exotic by Whitley County standards, born in New Orleans, educated in Boston. She tangled with public officials as editor of a small newspaper in East Texas. She saw familiar signs in Whitley County.
There are problems in this community with the good old boy system, corrupt politics, that kind of thing.
It seems to me in many ways that this community's strength was also its weakness in some ways. This is a nice, polite place where people have polite conversation.
Yeah, so that's one thing I do want to point out to y'all, and Jilly V is pointing it out. So we got 490 people in this chat right now, and I've only got 35 likes. And I know it's because it's in vertical and it's more difficult. But guys, it would really help my channel if you guys could make sure to smash that like button and prove to everybody that these are real viewers. Because I've been getting accused, oh, you're buying traffic. It's like, dude, if I was making money, maybe I would be, but I'm not making money off YouTube. Why the hell would I buy traffic? It's just stupid. But prove all the idiots wrong. Hit that like button, like, subscribe, save, and go back to all my other videos on my lives and hit that like button. And make sure to press the save button too, guys. The save button is the magic one. The save button is the one very few people do, but it shows the search engine gods that it's one of your favorite videos. So check it out. Hit that save button too. Now let's go ahead and keep on watching this bad chicken.
People are very proud here, and it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing in the way that it doesn't allow you to see the things that need change.
Whitley County, Kentucky, population
double tap to
35,000,
like.
is tucked in the state's
That's
southeast.
right. So someone just said in the sidebar, double tap to like. So because it's in vertical, it's harder to find, I guess, the like button. So just double tap the screen. Give me a bunch of double taps. Pretend like you're doing the Weaver stance, unlike that other guy was doing, and give me some good groups. All right, let's do it. Here we go.
Corner on the border with Tennessee. People here take pride in the natural beauty of Cumberland Falls and in historic Sanders Cafe, birthplace of Kentucky Fried Chicken. There is also poverty. The median income is $26,000. Drug addiction is rampant. Throughout the region, red signs identify homes once used as meth labs. And then there is prescription drug abuse. Oxycodone flows in so freely they call this stretch of I-75 the pill pipeline. In 2002, Lawrence Hodge was elected sheriff of Whitley County on the promise he'd clean it up. The sheriff's raid on one meth lab was covered by the local CBS affiliate.
When I knocked on the door, the smell was already knocking me down. We're glad to shut it down. It put a dent in our drug problem here.
But early in his tenure, there were rumors. Talk around the county, the sheriff had gone bad.
From about 2004, he just went downhill and was corrupt, involved with drug dealers, taking payoffs, extorting money from defendants.
Todd Tremaine,
That's
special
wild, man.
agent with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and
That's wild
Firearms,
to me.
says the FBI and state police tried building a case against Sheriff Hodge, but couldn't penetrate his inner circle of drug dealers, crooked politicians, and police officers.
Wow.
He was very insulated.
What do you mean insulated?
There was a lot of fear of what Lawrence might do if they cooperated with the federal agents or the state police.
He was untouchable.
Yes.
Editor Samantha Swindler had heard similar stories and suspected Sheriff Hodge might have a weakness, a paper trail. So she checked the department's evidence log.
There were months where nothing was checked in. I knew that this wasn't right
Thank you,
because
Matthew.
we had arrests every day
Super
in this
sticker!
area, particularly related to drugs. And when it's related to drugs, you know there's probably a gun, and it wasn't there.
But to mount a serious investigation of the sheriff, Samantha needed help.
Why would you hire a 20-year-old? His only journalism experience was working on his high school.
Hold on, Dawood. So Dawood, we're doing a live right now about bad cops, but Dawood's a buddy of mine. As you guys know, I am a Second Amendment rights advocate. Dick Heller is a very good friend of mine, as is Alan Beck. He is one of the premier Second Amendment rights lawyers in the country. And I know that he was talking with Alan. I know that Dawood and Alan had been talking together about his CCW. And Dawood, there are a lot of people trying to bring down the unconstitutional CCW scheme in California. And we can definitely talk about it. And we could even do a show about it, brother. I could have you on as a guest. But right now, I just want to get my audience focused on this. But I'm 1,000,000% down to take down the communist jerk-offs in California that want to prevent law-abiding citizens from being able to protect their families under the guise of public safety. It's ridiculous. They're flooding our country with people that aren't supposed to be here. Many of them are escapees or hardcore hardened criminals who have violated women and children, and they're just coming across our border and no one's doing anything about it. And what does California want to do? Take away your firearms? Are they crazy? They must be. Let's keep going.
High school newspaper.
Well, when you say it like that.
Oh, it's true.
Well, he was smart, and he knew about the community, and he cared about local government.
My aunt overdosed, and the first question I had was, I wonder if she got her drugs from somebody that the sheriff was, protecting.
Adam went to work, combing through years of case files. He noted arrests where drugs and weapons were seized by the sheriff's department and should have been logged. It was tedious and time-consuming.
At that point, I was working up to like 70 hours a week. It was insane, and it wasn't healthy, but I was, just driven. I knew I was onto something, and I couldn't stop.
What he was onto was a series of felony cases involving guns and drugs in which deals were cut and sentences mysteriously reduced. What's more, the defense attorney in each case was Sheriff Hodge's
that's
close
right,
friend,
Joey. I agree
Ron
with that.
Reynolds. One case involved this man, Rick Benson, a retired social worker. In May 2004, Sheriff Hodge and his men raided Benson's house. In addition to drugs, they found 17 guns. Benson had a previous felony conviction on drug and weapons charges, so was forbidden to own firearms.
You knew that you'd go to prison.
Probably for the rest of my life.
Were you scared? Were you anxious?
Yeah, I was terrified.
Because?
My world was over.
During the raid on the house, Sheriff Hodge found Benson's bank statement. There was $600,000 in his checking account alone. Despite appearances, this self-described meth abuser was a millionaire, heir to a publishing fortune. The night of his arrest, Benson says Sheriff Hodge offered him a deal. If he cooperated, the sheriff would see that Benson was represented by his old friend, attorney Ron Reynolds.
I'd heard of Ron.
And his reputation was?
He could get things fixed. He said, I'll guarantee you misdemeanors, no jail time, but you're going to have to move out of Kentucky.
Did you?
Yeah, so that's another thing, you have like these small towns where they're all corrupt, and the sheriffs and the attorneys and the judges are all like brothers, sisters, aunts, and uncles, and this is the kind of crap that happens. This is the kind of stuff that people have been complaining about since time immemorial. The difference is our Constitution and Bill of Rights should be preventing this stuff from happening. But unfortunately, our Constitution and Bill of Rights was meant for a moral people. It was meant for a moral people that were bound by a national identity, a national culture, which is exactly what governors like Newsom want to take away from us. They want to destroy our national identity and splinter us all off into groups that hate one another. exactly what Martin Luther King didn't want for this country. Anyways, I had to say that, a little soapbox message for you. Let's keep on going.
Do you think he was on the up and up?
Well, no, if he was on the up and up, he wouldn't have been able to do that.
How much was his fee?
$150,000.
$150,000 is a lot of money.
The rest of your life in prison is a lot of time.
Rick Benson says he was also forced to pay the sheriff $10,000 in cash and make a donation to the sheriff's department of $25,000.
That's enough to make you say, okay, what's going on here? But then whenever you see the actual cashier's check in that file where he donated $25,000 to the sheriff's department as a condition of his plea agreement, that's crazy.
With information on that case and others, Samantha and Adam pressed Sheriff Hodge for an interview. He reluctantly agreed.
He was just all relaxed, leaned back in his chair, being that good old boy.
So the sheriff thought it was a field trip.
Yeah, you got this little out-of-towner girl and this 20-year-old college kid. We played along. We played nice for a very long time. Let him lie.
In the course of that interview, legally recorded without Sheriff Hodge's knowledge, Adam asked him about the gun seized from Rick Benson, but the sheriff's answers didn't match the facts. He claimed the ATF, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, had them.
I don't even know who Rick Benson is.
He was a big case.
Oh, that's ATF, yeah. How many guns was it?
17.
On Rick Benson?
Yeah.
They would have just voted it. I tell you, you probably need to have an ATF person here with me if you want to talk about it. Well, you just need to ask them about the whole case.
So when the sheriff said he'd given guns to the ATF, you knew it was lying.
They never took the guns. They never even opened a case in this situation. And once we had that, you got a heck of a story.
I was like, wow, I can't believe he just said that. He just kept lying. And I was giddy.
What do you make of that? The two 20-somethings,
right,
with pens and notebooks could do what seasoned law enforcement officers couldn't do.
They weren't dangerous to him. I think Lawrence was thinking, hey, kids, let me show you how the sheriff's department works. Here's the jail, and here's Barney, and everybody from Mayberry. They caught him off guard because they'd done their research.
The reporters then filed what's called an open records request, requiring the sheriff to show where Benson's guns were stored. But 6 days later, Adam received a startling phone call.
The sheriff's department's been broken into. And that gets you out of bed real fast.
That was my we got you moment. I knew that he had staged it. I knew it.
Sheriff Hodge claimed guns, drugs, and other evidence had been stolen. The office was trashed, but the doors showed no sign of forced entry.
Just made to look like a burglary so they could explain for why the drugs and guns had been missing, and they'd been missing for several years.
So what was Sheriff Hodge doing with these guns? And
several years.
Guns, gave them to political friends.
Yep.
Sold them, traded them for oxycodone.
He became a drug addict.
Yes, he was a very serious drug addict. He had a bad addiction with prescription pain pills.
Adam and Samantha's interview with the sheriff.
Hey, it kind of reminds me of who's that guy? Not Goebbels. Goebbels was he was a propaganda minister. The overweight guy, the German. He was the head of the Luftwaffe. Man, I can't remember his name. I must be getting old, but you guys know what I'm talking about, like big fat German dude. This cop looks kind of like him. And he was also highly addicted to morphine and heroin. That was why I wanted to compare them. Here we go.
And the phony burglary gave law enforcement the break they needed. The man who once thought himself untouchable was now feeling the heat. Days later, an undercover officer recorded Sheriff Hodge threatening to kill Adam.
He said, I'm going to effing kill him. And the informant's like, no, you're just mad. And he goes, no, you don't understand. I'm going to kill him. I've already been by his house. I know where he lives.
Despite the threat, the Times-Tribune continued to publish damaging allegations against the sheriff. And a state audit suggested he may have been stealing money from the department.
He was just taking money and cashing it, and during convenient times, like before a 3-day weekend or right before his wife's birthday.
By May 2010, the people of Whitley County had had enough. They voted Sheriff Hodge out of office. 6 months later, he was indicted by a state grand jury. The most powerful lawman in
Goebbels was the propaganda minister. Hermann Goering was the general of the Luftwaffe. And this guy, he was heavily addicted to heroin and all kinds of drugs, same kind of deal.
Whitley County led away in handcuffs in his uniform. But Lawrence Hodge still had influence. Around the same time, 2 local thugs, friends of the sheriff, drove to Adam's house.
The passenger in the vehicle gets out, approaches me without saying a word, puts his hand a little bit into his waistband, and I just quickly pulled my pistol.
You had a pistol on you?
At that point, I didn't go anywhere without being armed. He saw that it left the holster.
Sounds like
I didn't
me.
point it at him or anything. And he explained that they were out looking for junk metal on my dead-end street and that they would be going now.
You pulled a gun. Were you prepared to use it?
Well, you never pull a gun unless you're prepared to use it.
Amen, brother.
Following that encounter, federal
Right on.
authorities compelled Adam to leave town under their protection. Already facing state charges, Lawrence Hodge was also being pursued by federal investigators. Central to their case was attorney Ron Reynolds, the sheriff's accomplice in the shakedown of Rick Benson. Reynolds turned on his old friend, implicating the sheriff in the extortion scheme. Lawrence Hodge had no choice but to cop a plea.
Prosecutor told him, we can put you in prison for a very, very, very long time. Our case is solid. You will be convicted. You could see that he was defeated.
Last May,
Real quick, I always like to be interactive with the audience. Michelle Henry asked, what is a CCW? CCW means conceal carry weapon. A lot of people, they don't understand it because they're a weapon, you know, what CC gun. No, it could mean you could get a license to carry a concealed knife, right? That might be illegal to have concealed on your person under the local statute. So a CCW, concealed carry weapon, it's kind of dumb. I mean, we already have a Second Amendment. You know, I don't understand what the big deal is. But it is a problem when you flood your country with foreigners and illegal aliens who know nothing about your way of life, who know nothing about your country, and you don't force them to assimilate, right? You don't make them take a test like the legal people do that come here legally to become citizens. So it's kind of hard to help people understand the American way of life and not be violent or be animals, right? When they come like peasants from a third world country, maybe from a jail in Venezuela. So the idea is that our Constitution, our Bill of Rights was intended for a just and moral people. And so there's no reason why a gentleman shouldn't be able to carry a firearm concealed on him. But if you don't have a good mommy and a daddy and good upbringing, if you don't learn critical thinking skills, in other words, if you're, you know, basically spending your time in academia, then yeah, it's the Second Amendment isn't going to be good for someone like that. You know, I grew up with firearms since I was like 7 or 8 years old. I was cleaning my dad's weapons and going to the range. I'm a total safety expert, and I do a CQB class where I help female rape victims learn how to defend themselves. And I've been doing that for years. And, you know, it's got to be part of your lifestyle. Being an American isn't just a title, it's a lifestyle, because we have these amazing rights that no one else has. You know, the right of free speech. Look at what they're doing in Europe. They're trying to arrest Elon Musk or shut down Twitter because they don't like it that he interviewed one of our former presidents. They say that goes against their European laws, right? Well, that's why we broke off from Europe. And that's what really makes me angry is that people like Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris, they want to declare anything that they disagree with is hate speech. And that is the radicals, the far radical communist Marxist plan to abolish the First Amendment. So it starts with eliminating the First Amendment, because once you get rid of free speech, it's a lot easier to take people's guns. Mark my words, that's where this is headed, guys. Let's keep on watching.
2 years after Samantha and Adam launched their investigation, former Sheriff Lawrence Hodge pleaded guilty to extortion, distributing drugs, and money laundering. He was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison. He declined our request for an interview.
Yeah, that's mostly from the work that the two of you did, right?
Yes.
Samantha and Adam's reporting also led to the conviction of 15 of Lawrence Hodge's associates. Both journalists have since left the Times Tribune.
Yeah, Mobius.
Samantha lives in Oregon,
Right on,
where she's
brother.
editor and publisher of a small weekly. Adam, just a year out of college and unemployed, remains in Whitley County.
What went through your mind when you saw Sheriff Hodge in handcuffs in his uniform?
You know, a lot of people thought that I would be jumping for joy and, you know, all elated there that the sheriff got arrested. And it's really not. It's terrible that this happened. I hate to see it for my community. I hate to see that plastered all over the place. You know, Whitley County, synonymous now with a corrupt sheriff. I don't like that. I think the real story should be that a bunch of people here came together and, you know, cleaned it up.
That's cool. Seems like a nice guy, you know, just a squared away, legit dude, no issues, no problems. So I got a couple more videos we'll share, and I'm going to take Gunner to judo tonight. So we're not going to do an all-nighter, guys, but I'm really grateful that you all showed up. And by the way, make sure to hit that like button. No joke, man. In vertical, it's harder to find the like button. It's harder to find the comment section. I know a lot of y'all are commenting in the sidebar. Give me some comments down in the regular comment section too. Typically on your iPhone, you click that little square on the right and it opens up the whole screen. You can see my whole thing going on there. And then what you do is you just hit that like and subscribe button, and you can make some comments down underneath there as well. Not just the sidebar here. That this is like the live streaming, and then there's the comment. But make sure to hit that like and make sure to hit that save button, because the save button is the gold. That save button, when you save my videos, that's the gold. That tells the algorithmic gods that I'm legit, right? And we already know that the Google gods don't like guys like me, right? Guys who believe in free speech, who believe in self-defense rights, who believe in toxic masculinity as just being a normal man, right? They don't like that. So we know that there's already a problem. Like, I've already got a problem with these guys. So the least you can do for me coming on here in a hostile enemy territory is to give me some likes and subscribes, right? Roger that. Hoorah. All right. Semper Fi. Here we go. Let's watch this bad chicken. This is a Georgia police pulling over another deputy for speeding. And I don't know what the deal is with the sound. I've got all my sound working. So let's just see what happens here. There we go.
Really?
License or back.
Yeah.
So see how the sound's all cut off? And that's typical.
Oh, guess who I just pulled over?
Who?
Yarborough.
Really?
Yeah, the chief deputy driving a Dodge Charger, a souped-up Dodge Charger. It belongs to the sheriff's office. I just clocked this at 96 in a 35.
What was the issue? I mean, why is he speeding?
No reason. He's in an unmarked car. He just got a high horsepower car and decided he wanted to play.
Of course, Julie. Yeah.
Do what you think you should do. I mean, I'm not telling you one way or the other. You do a 96 and a 35.
Okay. Well, you know I don't care for him, so I'm gonna ride his.
That's funny. So let's see what happens, guys.
Sir, here's your ID back. This is your copy of the citation. If you would sign right here, it's got a court date, time it must appear.
Yes, sir.
Please slow down and have a safe day.
Oh man, you know that guy's not going to have a whole lot of friends at the department. Yeah, let me see what else I got here. I got a all right, I got here's another good one. This is a Port Authority one. Let's see if you guys can see it. It's always interesting when you see the interdepartmental struggles, right? Like nobody knows who's in charge and they all want to be in charge.
Hi, I'm Karen Turner. Hi, it's Nair. I'm a resident. Here you go.
It's fine. I don't need that.
Okay, fine. I'm Karen Turner.
You're just here as the rider, right?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm here as a concerned citizen and friend of the mayor, and been in Tenafly for 20 years. I take full responsibility for them. And what is the reason they were pulled over?
The driver has all the information. He'll tell you.
No. I need to know.
No, you don't need to know.
Okay.
We're not involved here. You're picking them up.
No. I'm involved. Trust me.
Well,
I'm
I'm not
very
going to tell you. He's the driver of the automobile. He's over 18. That's all you need to know.
Okay. If you can,
We don't need to see credentials.
Okay. You need it. If you can give me a little bit of space here. What seems to be? Are you a commissioner? I am the commissioner. One of the commissioners, and I'm heading up.
Do you have an ID with that?
That is my ID, and that is my business card. I am the commissioner of the Port Authority, and I'm heading up over 4,000 police officers. Okay? So, if there's a problem, I think I have...
There's no problem.
Well, I think there's a
It's an
problem.
unregistered vehicle.
Okay, let's hear, why were they pulled over, first of all?
Miss.
Now, don't call me Miss, I'm Commissioner. Thank you.
Commissioner,
Yes,
all due
why were they
respect.
pulled over?
All due respect.
Yep. Why
The
did
driver with us.
No. I need
Yes,
to
ma'am.
know.
The car's getting towed now.
Why is the car getting towed?
Go ask him.
No. I'm asking. You're the person
Go ask
who's ordered it, and trust
Yeah,
me.
me too.
This does not involve 1%.
Yeah, it does. It does, because I'm picking them up, and I'm
1%.
offering to take responsibility for them, and you can't even tell me the charges. I'm also an attorney, so I think if you can't tell me what is the problem.
That's fine.
Why is it such a...
So a lot of you guys have already seen this. I mean, she meets the atypical definition of a Karen or a cat lady, right? Single woman, probably got herself elected, and now she wants to throw her weight around. Don't call me Miss, I'm the commissioner. It's precisely the reason why certain people should never be allowed to be in government or be politicians. The problem is when you have like an idiocracy of voters who have been brainwashed by academia into thinking that our founding fathers were bad and that the people that are in charge now are good. That's the main problem. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree. And then there was a question somebody had. Somebody helped me out in the sidebar. So there is a save button, but I believe it's called add to playlist. There's like some feature. I don't know what YouTube calls it, but saving it by pressing that button is even better than a like. But make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Always subscribe, and make sure to set your notifications if you want to watch more of me, because it's very rare that I can get on here consecutively. So at least you'll get pinged if you want to see more of my stuff. Typically, I have pretty cool guests on here, whether it be a fellow lawyer or whether it be an activist. I'm going to be doing something probably on Sunday with a guy who has been pulled over and arrested for state ref issues in California. That's where you have a modified cool dragster, like, was normal when I was growing up. But now, of course, Gavin Newsom and all of his buddies, they hate it if you have a nice car that you've done some modifications to, because apparently that's going to make the planet warm up faster than Bill Gates and all of his friends flying Lear jets around the country. I don't know what you guys think.
difficult to just say why they're being pulled over and why the car's being towed.
Because everything has already been explained.
I know, but I know.
Why do you need to know?
Because this is impacting me, because I got 4 people who are coming back to my house, including people who live in New Haven attending Yale Graduate School, a PhD student, and I don't know why it's so difficult to say what the problem is. This is impacting me. On Easter Sunday, I got to take 4 people
I'll be honest.
back to New
I'll be honest with
Haven.
you. Should I be frank with you?
Yeah, I want to know what the problem is.
It's more of
Hey,
the
what's
way
up,
you
BZ?
approach me and your demeanor.
You know what? Okay, that's.
I'm being honest.
I want to know why.
I just don't appreciate your demeanor.
I don't
You're being
appreciate.
very demanding with me.
No, I'm asking you a question, which is not being answered.
Hey,
It doesn't
Mike.
need to be answered. It's irrelevant.
Bro.
You know what?
If you'd like
You
to
don't
read
wanna-
my report, you can come down to the police department records on Monday, and you can get a copy of it.
And you can't.
I am under. There is no. You have no right
Sorry,
to know what's
but
going
this
on.
is. No, I do.
Explain to me why.
Because these are 4 people that I have
You're
to
just
take
a concerned.
responsibility.
Why do you have to take responsibility? They're all adults.
That's my daughter.
And she's
And
a
these
backseat
are her
passenger.
friends.
She's a backseat passenger.
And there's a
She has
problem
received-
with you describing it because you don't feel
Describing
confident. Why these people are being
Your
pulled
daughter
over?
has not been
And
summoned. She was not the driver. This is not her vehicle. It's not your vehicle.
I'm
How are
sorry,
you
but
involved?
this is not going to be. If you have a problem explaining what the problem is and why their car is being confiscated, then we have a problem. And trust me, I will be in with the commissioner of police of Tenafly.
Ma'am,
It
take a
will
step back.
be.
Take a step
If
back
you
for me,
can't
please.
even describe what the
Take a
problem
step back
is,
for me.
then
I
there's
can't
a
move back any
problem.
farther. I keep moving back farther, and you keep
Okay.
moving closer to me.
Because you
Can
can't
you take
even
a step back?
put a sentence together
Take a
on what
step
the
back.
problem is.
Because I'm not, because of your demeanor.
No, I
I
came
am
in
under
very
no
nicely.
legal obligation to tell
Okay.
you.
And I'm under no
Okay.
legal obligation to tell you what I will be doing. But I will.
You can do whatever you would
Okay.
like to do.
She's been
This is a lawful motor vehicle stop. You are here to pick them up.
Okay?
Okay.
There's going to be a report.
Yep.
The
There will
driver
be a
has been
report.
advised of everything that's going on.
Okay. I was
All the
there for
proper
your
forms have been
graduation
filled out.
when you guys came in the camp, and it wasn't that long
What
ago.
graduation? What are you talking about?
Okay.
What graduation
Thank
when
you
I came
very
into
much,
what town? What-
Saditsky and Kaplan. Thank you for
Have
your
a nice day.
information and help. You know what? I hope you have a really nice holiday weekend too, because you just ruined it for a lot of people without
I
even the
didn't.
decency.
No, I didn't ruin anything.
Yeah,
I'm just
you
doing my
did.
job.
Yeah, you did.
I would just
This
hope
is
you
their
being
Easter,
a commissioner
this is their
that you would
Passover.
understand
You
the job
did it.
police officers have to do. But
There is no explanation. How can I understand? You
didn't
don't
even
have
ask
the
him.
decency.
You didn't even
No,
ask
I'm
him.
asking you because you're the one that's making the report, the problem, stating it. I'm going to
I
the
don't
store.
appreciate the way you approached me, the way you demanded information, the way
I'm
you're
not demanding. I'm
stating
asking
based
you.
off of your
I'm asking
your
you.
position
I'm asking
in another
you.
agency,
I'm asking
whatever it may
you.
be. I mean, you have a business card with
How many
credentials.
times-
I don't know you. I just
Right, and that's the issue that I have too. Even though I disagree with traffic stops as a general proposition, this is a case where we clearly see she's trying to throw her weight around. Commissioner, don't call me miss. It's a power play. And obviously, that's improper. You should never use a position of public trust as a tool to make your office less trustworthy. Let's face it. I mean, when they do this kind of stuff, it makes all of us lose trust and faith in our institutions. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree. And yeah, look, I know, guys, there's some issues with the it's harder to like and subscribe when it's in vertical, but I'm just asking you as a favor, please do it, because it helps out the algorithm, helps out the channel, and it gives me an opportunity to get in front of more people.
met you a minute ago. You have no official
So
identification.
Louis, what's his name? Schmarodowski?
What does that have to do with anything?
Well, I'm just telling you who I am. I've been in the town for 20 years, and as a courtesy, I would like to understand the rationale for their being pulled over and their car confiscated. This is a courtesy. I don't know why it's so
I
difficult.
believe
know
you
what?
should ask your daughter and the driver of the motor
My
vehicle.
daughter is a backseat passenger, as you've
Exactly.
said. You're making the accusation. I would like to know.
What accusation?
The accusation of I don't know what. You haven't told me. You're telling me to go Monday and read the report.
No, that's
when
not
these
what you
kids, you said ask them. It's not they. It's not them.
They, them.
I'm not going to ask the driver what you are accusing them of wrongdoing. I'm asking you.
So basically, she's a passenger in a car, and she thinks because she's a commissioner at the Port Authority, that gives her the right to come out and have some kind of roadside justice. And of course, 90% of elected officials are lawyers, which is probably why you hate lawyers and why I don't like very many lawyers. But this is the example of what you get when somebody who thinks they're smarter than you. By the way, I have a blue collar background. I became a lawyer with no law degree or undergrad, and I got a law degree after I was already a practicing attorney. So I don't give any weight at all to academic institutions other than being used as brainwashing tools to destroy the minds of children and to make people hate their country. And it's happening in real time. Most of the academics are just radicals, communists, Marxists, and they hate our country. Columbia University, Harvard, Yale, they've basically been taken over by people that would have been better suited to be in the Soviet Union back in the 50s. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree.
Because you're the source of the accusation. They are not the source, you're the source. So I'm trying to go to the source. If you want me to go to their side of the story, I will. But I will do that.
I think it's the best thing at this point.
You know what? I'm very disappointed in the way the two of you are acting. You cannot even tell me, a mother living in
So she's going to lecture them now. This is just unbelievable.
Tennis life for 20 years with two kids who went through the school system, what the problem is. And that's shocking. It's shocking that you can't even give me a sentence.
I think
no.
we should conclude this.
I will.
Just for safety reasons, this is a high-speed road. I think we should all get off of the road. It's a little bit dangerous for us being out here as long as we were
Thank
anyway.
you for your concern with my safety.
Okay.
I don't need it. You can't put a sentence together. Sorry.
Okay.
That's pathetic. Okay. And you are a disappointment. And you are just following him. So you are also a disappointment. You can't put together a sentence of what the problem is.
Are you finished now? Are you finished, ma'am?
I'm shocked. I'm shocked and very disappointed. Thank you for your help.
You may take them now.
You may not tell me when to take my child. You may shut up and not tell me when I may take my kids and her friends who are PhD students from MIT and Yale. You may tell me nothing because you told me nothing. Shame on both of you. I will be talking to the chief of police.
Please.
And I will be speaking to the mayor.
Badge number
And you're
540.
I got your name. I got your
Just
name.
to make sure there's
I know
no discrepancy.
There's no
Matt is the first name.
No. Don't you worry.
As long as you got all the information right.
I got all your information, sweetheart. You can't put a sentence together. That's shameful.
Okay.
That's shameful.
Have a pleasant weekend.
You have a wonderful weekend. You're going to be very.
All right. So you guys kind of get the picture. That kind of stuff really bothers me. So let's check out this one. The hits just keep coming, guys. Let me check out the sidebar really quick. The Karen was not involved in the stop. Albert Joseph says this Karen was not involved in the stop. One of the adults in the car that was stopped for a valid traffic violation is her child. Right. And you can kind of see that, like in the image, you could see another car that had pulled ahead, like and parked. So the mom, Karen, comes over, the commissioner. Well, I'm the commissioner and you're causing trouble with my kids. And I deserve to know the nature of the charges and the cause and all this stuff. And they're just like, ma'am, you're not involved in this traffic stuff. Well, I'm a mother and I don't call me miss. It's just crazy. But it's just another example of political power and having a law license, how it can corrupt and destroy the minds of weak people who don't understand their duty to know the law and mean to keep it well. And that's why I invite all of you who aren't even lawyers to start reading the works of Thomas Aquinas, Blackstone's commentaries on the English law, and the works of John Locke. Learn about natural law. John Locke is basically the father of our Bill of Rights. That's where it really comes from. Natural law, John Locke, and the battle between the Leviathan, which would represent the administrative state, and we the people, which represents natural law. Like it says in the Declaration of Independence, our rights come from our creator, from the universe, not from government. And that's why the government's supposed to be bound by the chains of the Constitution. They're not supposed to be able to violate your rights. But our founding fathers despised democracies and they wanted us to be a republic. But unfortunately, the Leviathan wants a democracy because a democracy means the majority gets to decide the rights of the minority, that individual rights no longer matter. All that matters is the Borg, the collective. So I've got this other cool video that I want you guys to check out.
Guess who I
Give me
just
a
pulled
minute.
over?
I think we saw this one already, but
Yarborough.
it's cut, so it's funner to
Yarborough.
watch.
Really?
Yarborough.
The chief deputy driving a Dodge Charger, a souped-up Dodge Charger belongs to the sheriff's office. I just clocked this son at 96 in a 35. Really?
Almost like they're having a good time with it, right? Watch is really fast.
Yeah. Sir, here's your ID back. This is your copy of the citation. If you would sign right here. It's got a court date, time it's
Court
here.
date. Got a court date.
Please slow down and have a safe day.
Hey, what the heck? Is that really your average
Hey,
Joe?
thanks for watching. If you like this video,
Wait a minute,
check out
guys.
these
Is
other
this,
videos.
is this real? No. Are you kidding me? If this is really your average Joe, like the guy that I watch with that channel, I love that channel, by the way. You guys ever watch Average Joe, the army dude? I guess he was, or maybe he's the average infantryman, but it's really cool. The guy is really good. I subscribe and watch his videos all the time. So let's see what else we got that's going to be a quickie. I got one that's only a couple minutes. We'll check it out. Give me 1 second, guys. Here we go. You ready? Set. Boom.
Go ahead.
George Queen Victor 6868. It's gonna be a white Ford F-150, one occupant.
George Queen Victor 6868. West F-150.
Hey, so we can conduct this without getting run over. Here in a second, I'm gonna have to go up and go to the emergency lane over here on the right.
Yeah, I just saw your lights. I was on the
Okay,
phone.
so once traffic slows, I'm gonna block it and let you get over. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm Deputy Boggs with Clermont County Sheriff's Office. Reason for the stop is your speed today.
Yeah.
Laser indicated 72 in a 55 zone.
Yeah.
Do you have your driver's license and proof of insurance with you?
I do. I have my driver's license. This one, however, I grabbed it up. I'm the sheriff of Hamilton County.
Okay.
So I apologize. One of our recruits died yesterday, and I am still on the phone trying to
Yeah.
get this together. Because I'm actually trying to be on vacation, but
Okay. Alrighty.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I ran out this morning, to meet with the recruits and everything. One guy, it's the weirdest thing. He was doing that mile and a half.
Okay.
The police officer had me. And he, kind of collapsed on that last mile. And they got in the hospital.
So we'll talk about this one for a little bit. Let me just queue up the next one because this is real interesting, guys. So here's the deal. When that female sheriff got pulled over, he probably already was able to see through her plates. He probably ran her and saw she was LEO. So for whatever reason, he still pulled her over, probably just to see what was going on. Who knows? But ultimately, in my mind, he probably was going to let her go to begin with. It might be his way of saying, hey, if I ever have a problem at my department, remember me when I come and apply to your department. Remember, it's a good old boy network, and they have unlimited power, and they have a prison industrial complex that relies on them to bring in revenue for the state. So they're kind of like heroes to all the people who live off of taxpayers, right? They're the heroes to the parasites of society who have a color of law and the appearance of authority. So that's kind of the way that works. Let's go ahead and watch this next one. This is pretty good.
Well, Fox 35 was waiting for a response from Flagler County Commission Chairman Joe Mullins. This morning, a trooper stopped him on I-95 for speeding in a red Ferrari. Take a look at what happened next.
So 92 miles an hour is 20 foot over the speed limit, okay? Normally I give warnings, I give breaks, but it looks like you've been written a warning already. So I do issue the citation. With that being said, it's going to be payable within 30 days. 3 ways to take care of it.
Well, this happened back in June. As the trooper explains the citation, Mullins cuts him off to say he knows how the process works.
I'm sorry? I run the county, so I know how to. You run the county? Yeah, I'm the chairman of the county.
Well, the trooper continued to explain the citation, saying he didn't want any miscommunication. Mullins then takes off, and as you see, he kind of sped off there when he left, right? And so we asked the commissioner for an explanation of what he meant by his statement. We have not yet received a reply. We'll stay on top of this one.
Yeah, we will keep you posted on.
Yeah, because everybody already knows what was going on. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. So, so I got my last one for the night, guys. This is a really funny one. This is it's kind of cool. It's almost like a law student.
Can I pet? Real quick. That could be sexual battery, right?
Sexual.
Take you to jail.
I asked you.
I mean, you can't be mad, right? Like, he gave consent.
That's right.
No pet?
That,
Can I pet?
real quick. That could be sexual battery, right?
Sexual.
Take you to jail.
I asked you.
I mean, you can't be mad, right? Like, he gave consent.
No pet?
That's right. He gave consent, guys. So anyways, that's the show for today. Hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to come back and save it and do whatever you got to do to support my channel. Pick up a digital copy of this book, My Journey to Becoming a Practicing Lawyer with No Law Degree or Undergrad. I'll show you really quick where you can find that on my homepage of my YouTube channel. So if you just go to my YouTube channel right here, just open up where it says more. Right down here, you can click on purchase my ebook. It's like $19. Do it. It will help the channel, will help support the channel. Give it to a friend if you don't want to read it. I talk about the states that offer law study programs, and I talk about my journey to becoming a lawyer on the California State Bar Law Office Study Program. Really, really good information. With that being said, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save. Thanks for joining me, Mia Taro. Jilly, love having you. You have rights, cops have duties. Love you guys. Love all you guys. See you soon. Semper Fi. Do